one of the most textbook sociopaths
Yes.
you will ever come across. Keith Raniere, who created NXIVM, guy was psycho.
All these different things that we've studied, Scientology, yoga disciplines, the Mormon church. Keith took that from that and that from that, brilliant in the sociopathic way. And we're going to call this guy Keith Raniere, who created this. And we're going to thank him before every class. Thank you, Vanguard. Wait, we're calling him Vanguard? Oh, it just means leader of a philosophical movement. Like, holy, we're in a cult. And we were told he was a judo champ, chess player, concert pianist. Oh, and he's celibate.
Oh, right.
He was just this Renaissance man.
Do you think it was deliberate that he wore longer hair and a beard, and what I'm getting at is
Jesus vibes? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was his assistants, but his spiritual wives. They cleaned him up. This is my opinion. The original women that he had from his inner circle, they both died when I was there, and I believe that they were poisoned, and he poisoned them. Okay, I think I need to tell you this because I'm going to go into NXIVM land for a minute. So one of the principles in NXIVM was that
All right, guys, we got a good one here with Sarah Edmondson, and there's going to be a second episode after this. Sarah was here for almost 6 hours when we recorded, and it was absolutely riveting. So if you have not hit that subscribe button, please hit that right now so you get the notification when part 2 comes out next week, and enjoy this episode with Sarah. Sarah Edmondson, we are finally here. Thank you so much for getting into town for this one.
Thank you for the invite, and thanks for your patience with my travel schedule and whatnot.
Of course. Your story is quite literally unbelievable. It's an overused word, but it's also, I think, an example for a lot of people out there. You and I were just talking off camera about how we are all susceptible to things that, we may not even realize we're becoming a part of. And I can't even imagine what it's like to kind of like come outside of that and be like, whoa. But, not to bury the lead here, you were involved in what is now known as the NXIVM cult for many years. We'll go through the whole story today and whatever you want to. But, for people who aren't familiar with the NXIVM cult and what that was later, thanks to you and some other brave people, revealed to be, what was it in simple terms?
Sure. I can give like the overall cliff notes, and then we can go down some rabbit holes, as I'm
Let's
sure we will.
Yeah.
So I was involved in what would probably be best described as a personal and professional development program. People might be familiar with things like Tony Robbins or Landmark, and I'm not champion either of those things, to be totally honest, because we can get into why later, but there's a lot of coaching, executive training that's, around that everyone's sort of accessible to and is aware of. Now, in 2005, when I joined, this was at the height of like the human potential movement, and also before cults were particularly, there weren't as many documentaries on HBO and Netflix as there are now. It's a very different era, so it's sort of a stage I want to set. But yeah, I joined in 2005. What was ostensibly a coaching program to be more successful, to be more your best self. And I joined as somebody who was really looking for more meaning and more purpose and a whole bunch of other things, because I know you're going to ask me questions about my psychology and my parent, my parents and my kid, my childhood and whatnot, what set me up for that, which I'm happy to get into. But yeah, I joined because I wanted to be a better version of myself. I was an actress. I was living in a basement suite. I had bigger aspirations than where I was. And this looked like a tool set to help me achieve that. So basically, it was a community. What it was supposed to be? It's supposed to be a community of like-minded humanitarians working on themselves. It's basically a therapy-based program. So it was seminars and workshops that were designed to look at your belief system, upgrade the software so that you could be more joyful, integrated, optimal, and that's what it was supposed to be.
Well, as you know, I've had some people in here who were involved with Scientology.
Yes.
And we've done some podcasts on that.
I listened.
Did you listen to Jenna Miscavige's
I listened to
one?
Jenna, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right? And, she's born into it and everything. But I bring that up because there are so many parallels that I see between Scientology and what NXIVM was 100%. From a marketing perspective. Like you were just saying, be a higher version of yourself, accomplish goals that you're having trouble getting even focused on right now, join a community that's going to keep you accountable for this. We'll get into it, but like the ESP stuff and all that, very similar in a lot of ways to some of the auditing psychology that Scientology has. So quick question. Were you aware back in 05 or 06 what Scientology was at the time too?
Great question. I'd heard of it. I didn't really know much about it. As it became more prominent, like I was still in NXIVM when the Scientology Tom Cruise jumping on the couch incident happened. You remember that? And that was the first time that I was like, what is this? And I remember asking some of my upper ranks, people above me, like, what is Scientology? And I had some people who had taken NXIVM and had also done Scientology. And they said it was very similar, like you just said, similar in its goal in terms of, let's be happier and work through our limitations. But in terms of how they achieve that, I was told it was very different. So our approach was kind of like talk therapy, but getting to the root cause of an issue. So if I was your coach and you said to me, hey, like, every time I start a podcast, I get really nervous, then I would be like, okay, what's the stimulus? Like, when does that nervousness set in? And then we figure out what the stimulus was and how that made you feel and like what part of your childhood belief system, when that was created and what you made that mean, that you would then like put onto the podcast that would make you feel nervous. And it would be like an unwinding of that belief system to the point that whatever the trigger was would no longer stimulate you anymore. Yeah. Apparently Scientology had a whole other different approach. I didn't know that much about it, but I do remember thinking, hey, who am I to judge? If Tom Cruise is happy and people think he's in a cult, people think we're in a cult. So, who cares? People are doing their own thing. I didn't have a lot of judgment on it. I thought, good for him. He's happy. And then I saw Going Clear, but that was after I'd left.
Right.
And that was one of the first movies that I saw that I was like, holy shit. First of all, I wasn't, I know I'm jumping to the end. I'll tell you everything you want in between. But that moment of I literally have it in my notes section, all the things that I saw in Going Clear that were almost word for word. Some of the words are word for word. Suppressive. We use that word, slightly different meaning, but same vernacular, same system of control, shunning people who leave. They call it disconnection. I mean, I could pull up my notes and we could look at it and dissect it if you wanted. That's fascinating. But we've done 5 or 6 episodes on Scientology, and every person we interview is like, "Oh, I didn't know you did that too. We also had that. Like that's crazy. So similar.
Yeah,
but they were way more successful than we were.
It's Scientology.
Yeah.
Well, they were. I mean, they've been around. They were around a lot longer and just bigger in size as well.
Yeah,
global.
You know what? When I read about Scientology or interview people, I feel like L. Ron Hubbard was some like kind of a sci-fi writing nerd who wanted to create this club and, like made a little club. He's like, hey, you're going to be in the military and you're going to wear this hat and you have a clipboard. And then it just got like out of control. Like it was almost like they're cosplaying the military or but it's huge and they have real funds and real buildings. And why isn't like the IRS is up everybody else's butts? Why aren't they?
Oh, it's crazy.
Why aren't they dealing with that?
Don't even get me started.
Don't even get me started. It's like
nuts.
That chaps my ass more than anything else in the cult space.
Yeah, all you got to do is like go to Clearwater and look at all the empty buildings that they own and be like, something's a little wrong
and
here.
I did that. I actually drove through recently for I don't know if you know Mike Rinder, who's one of the ex-Scientology.
He passed away, yeah.
So it was at his memorial, and I had to drive through that creepy area, and it is creepy.
Very.
Yeah, and if you stop, they will come and like walk to your car and tell you to get the fuck out because they own the sidewalks. They own the city.
Yeah, it's crazy how something like that still exists at the level it does in the open internet era. Blows my mind. It also blows my mind that something like NXIVM took even until 2017, 2018 to actually have the whistle blown on it because, you mentioned L. Ron Hubbard. Guy was a psycho. He died in 85 or 86, right? So he died pre-internet era and all that. I guess in hindsight, like it could make sense. Something like that could have some subsistence after that. But like Keith Raniere, who created NXIVM, this guy was alive the whole time and in charge of it and openly allowing things to be. That was the other thing. Like everything was allowed to be videoed. Right? Like you guys had a record of all this stuff. If people have not seen The Vow on HBO, HBO Max, which you are in, obviously, where you guys, a bunch of you tell the story from what it was like inside there, and you're getting literal videos of step by step, or every time you're talking about something, there's evidence of it right there that can be shown to people. It's very sinister to watch because it's like this, I don't know, it's like you're watching a dystopian 1984 reality and you guys were happy while you were in it.
Yeah.
It's very, very, I mean, was that pretty cathartic, I guess, like making that show?
Well, there's so many points I want to address what you just said. Hold on. Well, first of all, I'll answer your last question. We didn't know we were making an HBO documentary when we were filming it, right? At first we were filming it because we knew that they were going to come after us, which they did. And this was more of a protection, like let's film our unwinding, like holy we're in a cult situation. We weren't like, we're going to sell this to HBO, which by the way, I didn't. I'm a subject and I'm not a producer. I'm just filmed in it. But we didn't know what it was going to be. We didn't know that it was going to come out after Tiger King and like blow our lives up and everyone was going to watch it because it was COVID. Like that was, not in the cards as far as we knew. But the filming of it, all the stuff that they filmed behind the scenes, I don't know if you know this, but it was filmed because Keith wanted a library of all his genius so that when he died one day, we could like refer to it. In fact, when he did forums and he would like speak in front of a crowd, I never did this because I just thought it was a dumb exercise and I maybe was lazy or whatever, but there would always be like 8 people sitting in the front with clipboards and stopwatches and they'd be like 8 o'clock and they had columns and it'd be like joke, metaphor,
oh my God,
quote. And so it'd be like, Keith makes a joke about global warming and farts at 8 p.m., whatever. And so that you could cross-reference and then eventually there'd be like, did Keith ever talk about global warming? And you could say in this forum on this date, and then you'd pull up the library. So that's why he did it. And the footage that you see in The Vow is everything that Mark had access to, which was a lot because he was, hired as the filmmaker. But there was
Mark Vicente,
who is the guy who brought me in and also the guy who brought me out. So, and we can talk about it later. Well, but all of that was like just what he had. There was like so much more. In fact,
sure.
I had heard since leaving that the people that remained the loyalists were taking that footage to make a documentary to show how wrong we are and, how much I loved it. I'm like, I never said I didn't love it. Like, I'm very clear that I had a great time until I didn't.
Right. Until it got dark.
Yeah. People are like, Sarah, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, I'm very honest about that. Like, it wasn't bad from the beginning.
The guys at True Classic started with a simple mission: to actually make me look good. Just kidding. They wanted to bring premium, comfortable clothing to the masses because looking and feeling great shouldn't come with a designer price tag. And clearly, people agree. With over 25 million shirts sold to 5 million customers and more than 200,000 5-star reviews, True Classic has become a staple in closets everywhere. But this brand isn't just about fabric or fit. It's about confidence. It's about helping people show up every day feeling put together without trying too hard. That's what makes True Classic the perfect gift this holiday season. Whether you're shopping for your dad, your brother, your partner, or now even the women and kids in your life, True Classic has something for everyone. The same premium comfort and fit that built the brand are now available for the whole family. These pieces fit where they should, feel incredible, and don't break the bank. You get that tailored look without sacrificing comfort or blowing your holiday budget. I've been wearing True Classic for 7.5 minutes now, and you can feel the difference the moment you throw one on. It's tailored where you want it, relaxed where you need it, no bunching, no stiff fabric, no BS, just a clean, effortless fit that actually works in real life. So skip the guesswork and overpriced designer stuff. Give comfort, give confidence, give True Classic. You can find them at Amazon, Target, Costco, and Sam's Club, or you can help my show out and head to trueclassic.com/Julian to grab the perfect gift for everyone on your list. You better be using that link, not Amazon. I don't want to hear anything about Amazon. Come on now. That's trueclassic.com/Julian, link in my description below. The way it strikes me is it's a slow descent.
Yes.
Right? They give you some sort of payoff. They give you some sense of community. They give you things that appear to be happiness. You met your husband, who's still your husband today, in the cult. And so there are all these friendships and happy memories tied with it. Mm-hmm. But then eventually they basically use that baselining against you to then normalize things that are obviously completely insane, but they do it slowly, starting with just language patterns or expectations on your job, and then eventually work their way to using those same manipulation tactics to pull you into DOS, which we will talk about later, which is certifiably insane. I mean, it's just so tragic to watch it play out on camera. I'm glad that Mark was able to get access to all these things, but it underlies the point that, you're talking about a man in Keith Raniere who is one of the most textbook sociopaths you will ever come across. And his own sociopathic behavior, as so often happens, is really what did him in, because he wanted evidence of everything that he was doing. And he thinks it looks great. It makes him seem like a god, but it made him seem like a psycho to everyone on the outside.
That was his undoing, and also creating. We call it DOS. You can call it DOS if you want, but I don't know actually what his intentions were because I never talked to him about it. Because when I was invited into that, it was supposed to be not related to NXIVM at all, which of course is total bullshit. But when he created DOS and that we went through that experience, I remember thinking, people think we're in a cult. Like I knew that people thought we were a cult, but I also thought they didn't understand because they weren't in the curriculum. And if they went through it, they would really get it. But when they started DOS, I'm like, this is not good. I hate to use the word, but I can laugh now. Not good branding. This is not good branding to brand women with your initials. Like that's not a good idea. If people think we're a cult already, let's not do that. Like that's not really smart, Yeah. So anyway, this is very serious, obviously, but I'm like 8 years out. Sometimes I can talk about it very openly and fine. Other times I'm like, I don't want to talk about that right now. So we'll just
I can imagine it's a mix of emotions. There's part of it you have to be like, holy shit. And other things, it's it's something you can't erase that hard drive.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you were an actress before any of this happened, right? So you had gotten on some TV shows and movies in Hollywood. So you already had.
I had some credits.
Yeah, you had some credits and some sort of success, but you were looking for more. Was that something you wanted to do as a little girl, like becoming an actress?
Yeah, I always wanted to be. I wanted to be an actor, but I also had my parents were very like politically and socially active, and I was very much instilled with some altruistic, like change the world and make the world better. And we used to march for peace, and like my dad was a hippie, and like that was sort of ingrained in me. Like if there was something wrong in the world, we would write letters to the mayor. You know what I mean? Like it takes some action.
Do something about it.
Yeah, we're gonna do something about it. So. I kind of had the idea that I would be an actress and then use my voice to have an impact. And that was what it wasn't like I want to be a famous actress to be famous. It was like I could be famous to have a voice.
Did you like the idea of pretending to be other people on camera?
Yeah, I love that.
So you love the actual activity
Yes.
too.
Oh, I did, yeah. And it changed over time. Like when I was applying for theater school, it was either theater school or psychology because my parents were in that world. My mom's a family therapist. My dad's a counselor. I was a camp counselor. I've always been kind of like, cruise director with my little clipboard. There are certain, roles that people fall into. So that was a route I was going to take, or route, as you Americans say.
Yeah, they both work.
They both work, okay. So that was something I would considered. I was going to go into therapy and then become like a drama therapy therapist. And then I ended up going into theater school. That was a real experience I went to. It was just a program where it was like under transition. So I was a theater major, like Bachelor of Fine Arts, so I call it my Bachelor of All, but my BFA at a school where I'm a class of 16, which means you're supposed to come out with theater experience. And just the way it worked out, like they did Romeo and Juliet. You think, I want to be Juliet, it's my middle name. I was Gregory. Okay, do you know who Gregory is?
It made you play a dude.
It made me play a dude. Nice. Yeah, with like 3 lines.
Very trans of them.
Yeah, it's super ahead of the times. This is 1998, like way ahead. So I played a dude. But point is, I got out of theater school. I was getting out of theater school, and I was like, I did not get the experience that I needed. Meanwhile, I had a boyfriend at the time who had gotten into film and television. And he had an agent, and he was on a TV show. And I was in Montreal, and there was like the film industry there was booming. And I basically went right into film and TV at a time when I guess like all my other friends were like struggling theater people, and I was like, film and TV is where it's at. And I got a bunch of great credits. I was like guest stars on a number of shows, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I loved it.
Yeah, how did you? So you were able to just connect through his agent and get some opportunities, and then kind of build that into some bigger stuff.
Yeah. I basically got with his agent, and she sent me out for auditions, and it being an Anglo-Saxon, sorry, that's not the right word. Anglophone, like an English-speaking person in a French city, where the film industry is like just starting out. There wasn't many. I was a big fish in a small pond. Versus going back to Vancouver, which is where I'm from. After theater school was over, I was now a way bigger pond, and that's when things were hard for me. And I was like getting little roles and doing beer commercials. And even when I was doing theater and doing during film and television, I mean, I wasn't I was like, on a vampire TV show, like teen stuff, like the equivalent of Nickelodeon. It was called YTV up in Canada.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was doing those things and it was fun, but I was like, this isn't necessarily that meaningful to me.
You're not changing the world.
Not changing the world. No, not with this vampire teen soap stuff.
Yeah.
So then there was a big chunk of time. There was a writer's strike. I believe it was like 2001 is when I moved back to Vancouver. All this stuff happened where I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And that's when that was like made me ripe and ready for cult recruitment. So it just wasn't like, it wasn't as fulfilling. And I also had a lot of friends who were quite successful in film and television at the time. And I saw their success. And I also saw them not even when they were successful and they had lead roles in shows, which is sort of the goal, like get a lead in a show, they weren't necessarily happy. So that was something that was sort of in my awareness.
What do you think was driving them not being happy? That it still wasn't enough, or they were working too much?
I think, honestly, I think the film industry is kind of vacuous.
It's what?
Vacuous? Like it's just not super, it doesn't have a lot of depth. I mean, every now and then a show will come around that has impact, but most of the time it doesn't. I don't know. Like film and television, I'd loved, and I'd almost, after this whole story, I'd almost like to get back to it because I want something simple. You know what I mean? But it's not as. Theater's exhilarating and it's exciting and it's live and you're on stage. I see Joey nodding in the corner. Yeah.
He knows.
Film and
literally.
Yeah. Film and television is like, it's a lot of waiting around and you're in your trailer and it's kind of anticlimactic and it's a whole different skill set. And I think that when you're working 12 to 14-hour days on a show, even if you're the lead, it's a lot. It's not necessarily that glamorous or fun, or unless you're working with incredible people and it's like an indie shoot or something, then, I miss it. Now I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you do.
Yeah, now I do.
It's funny how in the moment you're like, God, this sucks. And later you're like, damn, we had the life.
Yeah. There's pros and cons.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons. There's nothing like walking into your own trailer and like, like, oh, this is my home for the next month or something. And then at the end of it, you're like, I need to get back to my space.
Yeah, no, I will say, like, because they film a lot of stuff in Hoboken now, so we see trailers all the time. I'll pass those things. I'm like, I don't think I'd want to spend like 6 hours every day in that thing waiting around.
Yeah.
Even like when J-Lo was here, it's a regular. I'm sure hers has like a couple nice things in there.
Oh, yeah.
But, you're still cramped in this little tube for a little bit, waiting around, going, all right, when's my scene? Yeah. I don't know about that.
Especially if you're like just a day player. Like, do you know what a day player is? It's like Joey knows. It's just basically you're there for the day and you're a principal role and you've got a couple scenes or whatever, and you're not famous enough to get a trailer, so you basically have a room that's a bench that you could lie down on and like a little tiny toilet, and it's like a jail cell, right? So you don't want to stay in there, so you end up like going to hang out by craft services, and it's.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be hanging out with the crew, just like shooting the shit or something.
Totally,
I'd go stir crazy in those places.
Later, I learned I'd bring my laptop and like get work done. I'm not good at like just doing one thing, so I'm like, I'll use this time to return emails.
So you go back to Vancouver at some point when the writer's strike is going on. Were you still with the same guy or?
The same? No, we broke up. He was like my first serious, like we lived together, boyfriend, and we thought we were going to get married, and we were like, we should probably like not. We should probably take a little break and then we'll get married. And then we both started dating other people and we didn't. Yeah, we didn't get married. No, and he's a great guy. We're still in touch. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. And I'm just laughing because Sarma was saying she's still in touch.
Yeah, but so she's still in touch with some interesting people. That's a little bit of a different story. But
no, this guy's scary.
You weren't like 12, right?
No,
all right, that's good.
I was 20, like 21, 22.
I love how she said that with such a fucking straight face too. She's like, yeah, I was 13. He was 21. I'm like. Come again? Hold on. She's like, yeah, we're friends on Instagram. I'm like, I don't know if I would admit that. I love you,
Sarma.
She's great, though.
Yeah, she's great.
Thank you for hooking that one up.
Yeah, of course.
She was a very, very fascinating conversation. And by the way, what you were saying about how that manipulation works, I can tell you both Joe and I were completely sold on that, talking with her. As far as like, that marriage she was in and what that guy did to her. Makes all, especially considering like her strengths and her flaws, like makes all the sense in the world.
Totally.
How that would have happened.
I don't know if she told you how I guess she had seen The Vow and one of the cult experts connected us and we just instantly got each other.
Yes.
We were instantly understood. And I feel like that's something that survivors, even though she wasn't in a traditional cult, a cult of one, same dynamics, same manipulation, same dangling of the, the future faking and all the shit that Mr. Fox did. Like, so all this, so it was textbook patterns. And I get it. I don't judge her for it. I embrace her, and that's why we're good friends.
Yeah, and I know that's great for her to have someone like you too, who can relate and be a friend to her. Because when you hear like some of, for example, the phone calls that you had recorded once it was like, oh, wait a minute here, and I hear your tone of voice while you're still kind of like fighting with this, like, is this what I think it is or isn't it? And then I go listen to her tone of voice when she was like on the run or going through it with Mr. Fox or her con man husband and all that. It's the same octave. It's the same kind of like
a little different pitch.
It is, but it's like what comes across is like, oh, these aren't stupid people or anything. These are people who are so deep in something that they can kind of see the light on the other side, but someone's got to give them a flashlight to get all the way there. You know what I mean? It's as like a viewer, it's a terrifying thing to feel, because I know you. I know both of you now. I know how you talk. I know how you are, and I can only imagine like what that must have been like at the peak of it. Yeah,
well, I could say now that my voice is a little bit more in my body versus like totally disassociated. But actually, a lot of those conversations in the vow, and please don't get me wrong, the vow I'm so grateful for, because it really did us a service, whereas a lot of documentaries are a total disservice to the victims, like Netflix and Bad Vegan with Sarma, which I know you've already covered. The vow really showed, what was beautiful about it at the beginning, and what pulled us in, and we can talk about that. I'm just making a note to circle back. But just to say, a lot of those phone calls, there was no subtitle underneath about the timeline. I was actually, for some of them, not all of them, fully out. Like I knew I was out, but they didn't know I was out. So I was recording them lying to me.
Right.
So I was like, so what's happening?
Say that real slow.
So Keith is not having sex with anybody because I was told he was. Don't get me wrong, I was terrified. Like my PTSD was through the roof. I was not in a good place, but I wasn't questioning. They think I was questioning, but I was out, and I was getting proof of their lies. Wow. So that's not explicit in the vow, but it doesn't really matter. Like that's the only thing that kind of wasn't explained clearly.
Well, it's got to be scary though, talking with people that that were doing this thing that they were trying to appear as a friend to you when they were the farthest thing from it. Yeah. It's the ultimate break of trust.
Huge betrayal. Yeah. And that wound's taken a long time to heal.
Does it ever really heal?
I don't know. I mean, I think it does, and then a new thing happens, and I'm like, oh, guess it wasn't healed.
Yeah.
And then I have to revisit and call my therapist or go for a long walk by the beach or have a hot bath or do the things that I know that I need to do to calm my nervous system, because that's usually what flares up.
Yeah, I'm going to stick a bookmark in some of that as it relates to your husband as well, because I want to go through like how that all happened, and like we'll eventually get to where you guys are now. But I would imagine that's you guys are like a resource to each other, and it's also very cool, by the way, that you guys seem to have a great marriage and stayed together even through all this stuff, because that's not usually something that you see happen.
Yeah, most times, especially if you meet in a cult without the cult framework, it's sort of like, what are we doing here?
Right.
But luckily we had some shared values outside of it, and we also had a kid. Yeah. So that helped us too. I don't know how much you want to get into that now in the healing process. We could bookmark it.
Yeah, we'll bookmark it there. Come back for sure, because there's a lot of ways we can go here. But I want to start with how you initially got pulled in by Mark Vicente, who he was, and obviously, like as you said, he's the guy who ended up pulling you out as well. He has a really pretty amazing character arc that happened here that was covered very well in the vow and everything, and certainly someone I feel for as well. But how did you know Mark in the first place? So back to my relationship history, I was with the guy that I'd acted with, and I moved back to Vancouver, and then I started dating a guy who was a filmmaker, and we're also still in touch. Great guy. It's a through line. He and I he was a filmmaker. I was an actor, kind of classic pairing. And he had made a film that got into a festival that was on a cruise.
So it was the Spiritual Cinema Circle Festival at Sea. This festival no longer exists.
Is that a Carnival cruise?
I think it was a Royal Caribbean. I don't remember. Yeah,
right.
It was fine. It was my first time on a cruise, and my ex, who is David in my book because he doesn't like his real name to be used, which is totally fine, got invited to be, like, his film got chosen. And we were really excited because Mark Vicente was the director of What the Bleep. So I had seen What the Bleep Do We Know. You're 28?
I'm what?
You're 28? How old are you?
Who told you I'm 28?
I don't know. Sarma. How old are you?
32.
32. Okay, so you're born, what year were you born?
93.
Okay, so What the Bleep came out in like 2003. So you'd been 10.
Right.
So my point is that this was before your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my point. You probably missed What the Bleep. What the Bleep was like the hugest doc of the time. And it was before, you've heard of The Secret?
Yeah, that's like the book, The Secret, the manifestation thing.
Yeah, where you visualize. Before The Secret came What the Bleep. And it
was the same kind of subject matter.
Same kind of subject matter.
The Secret has some NXIVM vibes to it.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And a lot of—
I see where this is going.
Yeah, a lot of through lines to like other culty characters that I've like interviewed on our podcast. It's all full circle. But What the Bleep was like quantum physics meets spirituality. Okay. It's like there is a physics to how we can manifest things. And like if you're looking at this water and you're projecting love onto it, and then you look at the molecules, it looks different if you're projecting evil onto it. And they showed the science behind it. And it was all very like woo-woo science. But it was at the time groundbreaking and was basically like you can create your own reality. So that movie was amazing for me at the time. I had started my spiritual journey. This is before NXIVM. So I was reading books like Celestine Prophecy, also before your time. Artist Way. This is not your audience.
Wait, Artist Way?
The Artist Way.
I know that one.
Yeah. Julia Cameron.
That? Yeah. I feel like we've talked about that before, right? Maybe?
It's a great book.
Sorry.
It's a really good book. And I still recommend the book to this day because it's basically a 12-week program for people to tap into their creativity. And you do things like take yourself on artist dates and you journal in the morning. And it's a great way to like open up your creative source. But these books kind of set me up for success with the cult because I was already in this mindset of, remember, this is early 2000s. So like setting intentions and manifesting and creating the life that I want. And I went to this film festival setting the intention, I'm going to go find my purpose.
Going online without ExpressVPN is like leaving your laptop unattended in a coffee shop while you go to take a shit. Most of the time, you're probably fine. But what about the one day you come out of the bathroom and the homeless guy who was sitting outside no longer is and your laptop is gone? Every time you connect to an unencrypted network, whether that be in cafes, hotels, airports, or wherever, your online data is not secure. Any hacker on the same network can gain access to and steal your personal data, like passwords, bank logins, credit card details, etc. And it doesn't take much technical knowledge to hack someone either. Just some cheap hardware is needed. A smart 12-year-old could do it. And your data is valuable too. It's worth up to $1,000 on the dark web. You think hackers want that? You're right. And that's where ExpressVPN comes in. First of all, ExpressVPN has some of the lowest prices. You're talking about $3.49 a month to get protected. That's 12 cents a day. Secondly, ExpressVPN is super secure. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past their encryption. And finally, ExpressVPN is easy to use and works on all devices. So whether you're on your phone, laptop, or tablet, all you have to do is fire up the app and click one button and boom, you're protected. I was sitting in an airport recently and had to go through some statements to send out to my accountant. You can imagine, I fired up ExpressVPN right there because you don't know who's sitting around you in these airports. All that sensitive information, didn't have to worry about it for 1 second. So secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/Julian Dorey. That link is in my description below. That's expressvpn.com/Julian Dorey. Head on over there now to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months. expressvpn.com/Julian Dorey. Link in my description below.
Acting is not necessarily my full purpose. And I was going to meet a bunch of spiritual filmmakers, including Mark Vicente from What the Bleep.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you were already, and you're really young at this point too. You're not in acting that long. You already felt like it was some sort of a letdown from what your expectations had been, I guess, kind of due to some of the stuff we talked about earlier, the difference between theater and actually filming TV.
Yeah. None of that stuff was filling my cup. And so I thought there was more to it. And really what I wanted to do was make films like What the Bleep. Like when I saw that, I was like, this movie shifted consciousness.
Shifted consciousness?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, that's what people were saying.
Yeah, what did you mean by that?
Like people had their consciousness about reality and how they viewed reality and themselves in reality was shifting. Like shifting consciousness of the world through media. That's what I thought this movie did, and that's what I thought I wanted to do.
Is it because of the way they made it or the message that was within it more? Was it just made beautifully that you're like, holy shit, like that was odd?
I think it was both. I think it was the message. And listen, both Mark and I will to this day also say like neither of us are fully on board with everything that's in the film. But at the time, it was groundbreaking. And at the time it was like, yes. And so when I got to the boat, I thought like maybe I'd, see him in a panel or like, I'd cross paths with him. But our very first night at the film festival, they did a science seating, and it was like me and my boyfriend and Mark and his girlfriend. And I was like, meant to be. And we had an incredible conversation that night, and it just like changed the trajectory of my life from right there.
Before I ask you about that conversation, because you mentioned there that this was like you were on your spiritual journey, you're trying to figure some things out about the world, find your purpose, stuff like that. Did you have any type of growing up real religious background, or not even religious background, like some sort of like
dogma or
thought about where it all came from?
Yeah, so my dad his parents were Anglican, and he kind of rebelled. They were like they were aristocratic. His grandparents were British, Lord and Lady, like friends with Maggie Thatcher kind of thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Technically my dad is a lord and I am honorable. Yes, the Honorable Sarah Edmondson is what you can call this.
I'm not going to call you that, but that's great. Good for you.
Thank you.
You should
really
tell Keith to call you that.
I tried. Well, in NXIVM, I got to senior proctor. So it was the Honorable Senior Proctor, Sarah Juliet Shapiro Edmondson. So it was pretty impressive. Yeah. I don't hold any of those titles anymore.
Sarah Juliet Shapiro Edmondson.
Yeah. It's a long name.
Sounds like a law firm.
Especially with the Shapiro.
Yeah.
So that's my mother's side.
I have known probably about 6 lawyers off the top of my head with the last name Shapiro.
I don't have it. Well, I do have some Shapiro lawyers in my family.
Oh, that's funny.
So Edmondson's my dad's side. Shapiro is my mom's side. And my mom is like Reform, non-practicing Jewish. Like we celebrate Hanukkah. We celebrate Christmas.
Oh, you got best of both worlds.
I got best of both worlds.
Good
and
for
my
you.
parents separated when I was 2. So
they did?
Yeah. So that's another part of my psychology because I know you like to discuss
it's kind of important.
Yeah, it's kind of important. It's good to know that they were civil and now they're really good friends. But my whole life I was like, I just want to get my parents back together. Not now, but like when I was young, I was like, let's just get if I had a wish, like a birthday wish or a candle or whatever, it was like if I could just have my parents back together. And so I think that comes into play later when I'm going to get into the cult and like just wanting family. And I was only child. My dad remarried and I ended up having a brother later. So I totally have a half brother that's like my brother, but I have all the trappings of an only child in terms of like being alone and wanting a sibling and wanting a best friend and wanting to fit in. And I
understand.
You right? Yeah. Are you also an only child? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So you get that. And then also as a nerd. Were you a nerd?
No.
You don't seem like you were a nerd.
I wasn't. I mean, I did very well in school.
Mm-hmm. But you were cool.
Be like, oh, I'm smart. No. I don't think I was any of the above. I think I was always just a little different than the others, whatever that was.
But did it bother you?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Certain eras it did. Other eras, I think as I got older, by college I embraced it in a lot of ways. But it's kind of like sometimes you're the loneliest person in a crowded room. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Totally get that.
Yeah, still that way.
Really, still?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Good thing I didn't find you 15 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
I scooped you up.
Yeah, I don't think any, as I was telling you off camera, I think everyone is susceptible to cults and things like that. But also, I think in learning, like it's something I've been fascinated with for a while, such that we look at things that are so obviously now, like a cult, like Scientology or NXIVM or something like that. But I look at a lot of other things without naming names and go, that's a fucking cult. Yeah. Right? Like I keep a very hyper awareness of that because like I said, I think the right circumstances at the wrong time in your life, you can start to believe something that, 10 years later, you might be like, what the fuck? But at the time, sounds like the smartest thing ever.
Yeah. Well, it's called, in the cult space, they call it situational vulnerability.
Oh, that's I'm going to use that.
Feel free. Yeah. Because everyone goes through it, whether it's, crossroads with career or a relationship or being in a new city. You're not vulnerable. You don't have a weakness as a person. You're just vulnerable because of the situation you're in. maybe combined with some emotional stuff. Like I certainly had emotional vulnerabilities too. I hate to use that word because it has a negative, like, oh, you're being vulnerable. Like it's your vulnerability. It's your wound, which is kind of true, but it's like the wound combined with the person coming in who wants to take advantage of it. So it's like a two-way.
Yeah. How's that negative though? To talk about that.
I think it's just the way that it gets used. Oh, like the call, oh, you're just weak and vulnerable. Like it's,
everybody has that.
Yeah,
that's bullshit.
I know that.
Yeah.
I just feel like people who use it in a way of like, oh, well, she was, she had low self-esteem, like as if that's the only reason.
It sounds like you've probably, and I don't doubt it, for what you've been involved with, you've been judged so much also publicly.
Yeah.
That you're very, you have a high bar to recognizing that very quickly. But I'll tell you, like, fuck the people that are doing that. They don't know, and everyone's vulnerable, like in certain ways. And I think when people try to act like they're invulnerable, they're the most vulnerable people in the room. Yeah. They're usually the most insecure, 100%. Broken people in the room, no?
Yep. And also the people that I think are the most vulnerable are the people who think they aren't vulnerable to it because it's a blind spot and they think that could never happen to me.
Exactly.
And that's where if I was trying to, take advantage of somebody, I would find those people because they have they're not even willing to learn what the red flags are because they think they'd spot them.
That's right.
And you're right. It is, when you look at something like the vow or Scientology, it's so obvious, but it doesn't look like that at the beginning.
Mm-mm.
It looks really good.
You kind of have to be like,
yeah.
Wait, what? Like literally, it's not. And I've seen it, like I said, with some of the Scientology people, including people who've come in here who weren't in Scientology, but have devoted decades, like Tony Ortega or Mark Bunker, to investigating it. They're like, yo, we get how people get into this. They they'll be the first to tell you, like, there are some brilliant people who are brilliant when they get pulled into it. And it's just like, that term, so what was it? Situational vulnerability. And then it just, slippery slope, just keeps going, and they start to accept things they wouldn't have accepted. So I get it. But you were saying a few minutes ago before we got on that tangent that you had always dreamed of getting your parents back together.
Yes.
Because they separated when you were 2, you said?
Yeah, 2.5.
So you never knew them together in your life at all?
Yeah.
So how would you try? Would you try to set up dinner dates for them when you were like 8? Like how would this
it was more of wishing. It was more of like fantasizing and asking them, and just hoping. It wasn't like Parent Trap type of situation. Yeah. It was just a longing, a yearning that I had. I think this came under what I was talking about feeling. There was a tangent, but I know it'll come back to me. I don't remember what it was.
Well, you were saying you ended up having a half brother, but you always felt like an only child. How much younger was your brother than you?
I was 9 when he was born.
Okay, so there's a little gap there.
Yeah.
But were you closer with one of your parents than the other?
I mean, I probably spent more time with my mom. I think that's just the way the division worked. And my relationship with my mom and my dad are very different. So. Yeah, I don't necessarily have a closer to. I probably talk to my mother more than I talk to my dad. We're a little more enmeshed, as the term.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's a huge help. Thank you.
I'm her only child, so it's we're close.
For sure. Did she ever remarry too, or
no?
She didn't.
No, I would love for her to get remarried. I'm always on the lookout. If you know of any single,
I'll let you know if we have
60s or 70s in Canada.
That's
ideally.
Right. Michio Kaku's not single, is he? I don't think so. I don't know. Yeah, we'll find out.
She's a wonderful woman. She's very warm. Oh no, we were talking about religion. Oh, I remember the tangent. Okay, so my mom and spirituality. So I think in many ways I loved that. So I was going back and forth. I had 2 homes. I had Hanukkah and Christmas. When people asked, I said I was half and half. I said I'm half Christian, half Jewish. That's what I thought I was.
There you go.
But I didn't spend a lot of time. I didn't go to church. I very rarely went to synagogue. I had a bat mitzvah, so technically I was fully Jewish, but I wasn't I didn't keep kosher or anything like that. I think the good side of it is that I was very open to, I wasn't in a specific dogma of this is how to live life. But I think the downside of it is that I was wanting rules on how to live life in a way. I felt a little bit I had a lot of existential angst. as a teenager. And so when I finally got into NXIVM, it was like, here's the rule book.
You felt a little unsupervised.
Yeah.
God,
Well,
you
yeah.
and Sarma were the same on that one.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I was supervised more so, although I did do acid at a very young age, as
you
did
did?
she. Yeah. But this is, again, the 90s when it was like I did that.
Was that the Christian side or the Jewish side?
That was the confused side.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
But I am, and I've always been little. So even when I did anything, like even drinking and drugs later, I always like, I'll do a quarter of what everybody else is doing. So I never like went crazy with it.
You took a bite.
I did like a half tab of acid.
Gotcha. Do you remember any of it then?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What was that like?
It was great. I did a lot of mushrooms too in high school. That was really fun. And I still do mushrooms. Mushrooms is the thing I still do.
The microdosing stuff?
Yeah. In fact, I did that yesterday in the city.
Nice.
It was lovely.
Nice.
Yeah.
You take a good walk like down Fifth Avenue?
No, I went on the High Line.
High Line's a great spot.
Yes.
I'm sure that'd be awesome microdosing.
High Line. Yeah. High on the High Line. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, you're getting deep excited over here.
But that's like been such a big part of my healing. Like microdosing is really good for me. Really just like totally removes my anxiety and I just feel present and I'm in the moment. I'm not thinking about like all the things that cause me anxiety. But,
Did you have a lot of anxiety growing up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
what do you think initially caused that?
I think the divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt a lot of unease. I think when you think about like a toddler, and I've seen now that I have 2 kids, like seeing my kids at that age, like your parents are everything to you. Your parents are just like your whole world. And I just can imagine the split and being like, so like, what's like, everyone's got different types of trauma. I think that was my initial trauma, is having that split with my parents and trying to just make everything better again and trying to, I thought if they got back together, then things would be better. But you know, they're not. They were 26 when they got together. They were so young. Like that was.
Yeah, but you don't understand any of that when you're 9 or 10. You don't even know what that is. Did you ever? I mean, it sounds crazy, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that can look back and relate. Like in their childhood, was there a party that was like, oh, maybe it's my fault that they're not together?
Totally, 100%. Yeah,
I hear that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, a lot of the work that I did in NXIVM, like a lot was. And we can get to this, but like we did this process called an EM, an exploration of meaning. So you'd bring a stimulus response, like I mentioned earlier, and a lot of the memories that were holding the meaning or the reaction in place came from my childhood and thinking like, you know, if I had been different or you just like at that age you think that you're the cause because you're kind of that's your little world and you know, if I could just be different or better. I think it made me into a good girl. Like I was very much, other than the acid, but like I was a straight A student. I was you know, I followed the rules.
So you get on this cruise with and end up sitting next to Mark, who makes this movie, this documentary that blows your mind. And he's already in NXIVM at that time, right?
Yeah, he'd already taken a 16-day training, and so he wasn't a coach yet or anything.
What does that mean, 16-day training?
So keep in mind this was like executive success programs. We weren't even using the term NXIVM at that time. That came later, but NXIVM is the umbrella. So he took executive success programs, ESP, we'll call it. There's a 5-day training, and that's the first 5 days of a 16-day training. And the idea was that was level 1. Similar to the bridge in Scientology, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah. If people could do the 5-day or they could do the 16-day, most people started with a 5-day and then finished the last 11. That's what I did, a 5-day, and then I did the last 11 later.
Okay.
So he had just done the 16-day, which is the foundation for the rest of the curriculum. And he thought it was great. He met me and David and was like, well, if you liked my film, you probably like this thing I just did. And we spent 7 days together with him and his girlfriend and on the cruise. And I don't know if have you ever done a cruise?
I was on a cruise that caught on fire one time.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I've done a couple cruises with my grandparents. Interesting times.
So you know that you are at sea and then you dock and you explore some land and then you go back to sea, right? So when we were at sea, we were watching films and doing film festival things in the big screening room. And then when we were on land, we were exploring, like we were going to the Bahamas and I think St. Bart's, you know, which was
exotic places.
Exotic. It was exotic. The water was beautiful. We were, you know, with 300 like-minded filmmakers, and it was like the time of my life. I was like, this is peak living. Yeah,
you really can get close to people in those things. I mean that dead seriously.
Yeah, you are very close,
especially when you're in these exotic places or going somewhere cool and if you're on it for a week or 2 weeks, or I was on one for 3 weeks one time, like
Wow.
it becomes your world a little bit.
Yeah. I felt there was another couple that were also there who I'm still in touch with. They live in England, and so the 6 of us were kind of a little gang, and we didn't really talk like we were just like a little family, and we were talking about big things. And Mark didn't even tell me that much about it. It was just like I knew there was a guy named Keith, and he was a smart man, and he was a chess player and a piano player, and really smart, and using his brain to create this humanitarian club is how it was pitched. I know it sounds
funny now.
It's funny now. It's funny now. It was also funny that we were told he was celibate because.
Oh, you were told he was celibate.
Oh yeah,
get the fuck out.
Yeah,
of
we
here.
were told he was a celibate renunciate. You know what a renunciate is?
No,
That's somebody who's like so evolved they don't need material items. Like he did. That's why he didn't have a car. He was a renunciate. He's a celibate renunciate, like a monk. A monk is a renunciate.
if someone has to sell themselves as a celibate, they're fucking more than anybody.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Well, now we know.
Yeah, now we know.
I mean, there's certain things I look back at and I'm like, no, don't believe that. No, that actually came into play around the time that we joined because they hadn't had that as part of the image. There was sort of like more. It was more. I've learned this later that he was more open about his polyamorous lifestyle.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah. And then when people like myself and Mark came in, they were like, we need to change this. And they like purposely lied because they didn't think that we'd be able to like understand why that would be ethical, you know? So they decided to not disclose that to us.
Yeah,
it was a whole strategy.
The opposite.
Yeah. So he's a celibate, he doesn't need sex. So, you know.
But Mark, I mean, obviously you respected him as a filmmaker and,
Yeah.
you know, you had these, you kind of saw things you were looking for through the art he made and everything. But would you say he was a pretty magnetic guy too? Like you were drawn to him, not necessarily romantically or anything, but you know what I mean?
No. I mean, I definitely like looked up to him and, you know, he put him on a bit of a pedestal and he, if anything, like we actually joked about it later in NXIVM, he was a little bit, even though we connected and obviously like I followed his lead, he was also a little bit standoffish in that kind of Hollywood filmmaker kind of to a cool way. And that was one of the things that NXIVM did with him is made him more warm and more approachable. So even though he was, you know, I was drawn to him and his girlfriend, I was like, you know, we're best buds now, like BFFs forever. I was also like, you know, the power differential was still there. Like he was the filmmaker and I'm an actress. And, you know, I don't know. There was a bit of both. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It wasn't like super clear as to like we're on the same playing field, I guess.
Yeah, there's some. Listen, I was never in it, but I've talked to enough people. There's some interesting dynamics.
Yeah,
that have always been in play in that industry, in particularly in the whole pecking order and stuff.
Yes.
And we see it where it goes like really dark, you know, with like the Harvey Weinstein stuff. But in general, on a day to day, it's like I'm me, you're you, you're you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, the film industry is. I mean, in some ways, it kind of has to be. I don't know if you could have a set where like everyone's the same. Like there has to be somebody calling the shots. But like if someone's an asshole,
right,
it's going to affect everything, and that trickles down and whatnot. But there has to be like there has to be a president, there has to be an AD, there has to be a director, there has to be someone.
That's life.
It is life, and.
But the way you treat people doesn't have to be reflective of you needing to be above them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I this will remain nameless, obviously, but I was talking with a friend of mine who, let's just say, is like directly connected in that industry. And, you know, you're asking them the questions like, all right, who's great, who sucks, that kind of thing. And again, without naming names, it was so fascinating to hear people who were, you know, these megastars or whatever that are effectively like on the same levels and how opposite some of them are.
Yeah.
Like, and they all present kind of the same thing publicly. You wouldn't really be able to know, but you're like, this person's amazing. Here's why. Here's how they treat people. Here's what they do. This person sucks. Here's why. And then you hear some of the stories. You're like, that's not real. And they're like, 100% they do that. And you're like, come on, man. But I guess, I don't know. Maybe some people get so big that, and you know, their life is on camera. If I'm talking about actors in particularly, that they start to think they're like that thing, which also sounds like someone else I'm thinking of right now. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's similar.
It's similar. And also like you never really know what's going on in people's lives. Like one of the very first experiences I had on set around that time when I first started acting in the late 90s is I was Rose McGowan's body double.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're the same height and weight.
Can you pull up Rose McGowan real fast? I could see like.
We're the same height and weight. she's more well endowed than I am, but we're the same height and weight. And so I was her body double and I was her stand-in. That's her now, but like look at her back then.
Yeah. The fifth one right there, Deef. See her with the hair? Fifth and seventh. Let's see that one.
Yeah.
And then go 2 over. Perfect. Yeah, I can
right?
see why. Same kind of
yes
cutout.
And she was lovely, and it was a film that she was in with Alan Alda, and the highlight of my career is at one scene she wasn't ready, and I got to read lines off camera with Alan Alda, which was amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but she on set, I just will never forget this, is that she had the reputation of being a bit of a diva. Like we were, shooting far away in the suburbs, and she wanted a particular kind of latte, and someone wanted to get the particular latte, and everyone's like, oh my God, that's such a diva. And I remember her being like she was great with me, really taught me so much, like really took me under her wing. It was so kind. But she had this, reputation on set. And then I found out years later after reading her book, which is amazing, by the way. And she was one of the first Me Tooers against Harvey Weinstein, right?
Yes.
And her depiction of how that happened is fucking horrific, and I have so much respect for her. But when I did the math, I was like, oh, that must have happened just before I met her.
Wow.
And so that, she was fucking raped by Harvey Weinstein in a hotel room when she's going up for a meeting that her agent set up. It's just, that's a whole other tangent. But my point is, you never know what's going on for people.
For sure. Quick question on that though.
Yeah.
Do you not see some patterns in that too?
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Right? It's we don't put it in the same category as like the actual literal cults and stuff we see, but how's he that much different?
No, he's not. And this is where I like our podcast a little bit culty when we've talked about stuff like this all the time, because it's the same power dynamic, 100%. And we like the cult of Hollywood is a whole other separate story, like how these people have power and all these enablers in our space. They call them flying monkeys.
Flying monkeys?
From The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
So the witch has the flying monkeys to do the dirty work. So the narcissist in the power position doesn't always do all the things to set it up. So they just sort of receive the benefits.
Sure.
So Weinstein also had assistants bringing Rose down from the downstairs table where she's been waiting patiently to have lunch. Oh, he's just finishing a meeting. Why don't you come up to the foyer? She's with somebody. She's not like, I'm going to go to the hotel room and get a job. She's like being led by an assistant who
knows what's going to happen.
Who knows what's going to happen.
Very Epstein-like too.
Yeah. And I know you probably know so much about that now. I saw your list of titles. I was like, could we just talk about Epstein and aliens?
Listen, we've done probably 5-6 episodes before on Epstein.
Yeah.
And that is a case I've looked at since basically like the inception of it really blowing up. And it's one that you never get any less sick or desensitized to it. Yeah. Studying that one.
I'm sure. And
it just gets worse.
It gets worse. And so Ghislaine Maxwell would also be an example of a flying monkey, but also, a co-conspirator and an enabler and all the things in a legal sense and actual physical sense. So, and Keith had those too. Keith had a few Ghislaines around him.
Let me ask you not specifically about the Keith ones. Let's stay with this other example for a minute, because I'd love to know, now you being outside it, what your example was. Because as you, I think we said this off camera, so I want to say this on camera too. You worked on the business side of NXIVM, and when they tried to pull you deep into the other side of it, that's when you went, no, holy shit. So one of the things that happened when you and some other people bravely went and whistle blew this whole thing is you were falsely titled in various publications as like, an ex-recruiter for sex, whatever, comes clean about NXIVM, when in reality, you never did that. But what I want to ask you about is not even getting to the NXIVM ones who did, but like stay with Epstein for a second. Not Ghislaine. Some of the girls that he got to when they were 16, 17, who he abused, and then who, in forming that relationship of abuse, kept on, who then later, in their young 20s, went and recruited girls for him. What do you make of that, and how do you view that?
It's so complicated.
Yes.
For especially 16-year-olds who don't know much else, like I joined when I was 26, turning 27. So I feel like I had a little bit more life experience. And I think that's ultimately what kept me out of the, Keith's clutches. I kept him at bay in a way that I think, like, I wasn't looking for a father figure in the same way that some of the other women were, and that we can go into that as well. So I think when you join something like that at 16, you don't necessarily know how wrong that is. Like, it's just what becomes normal. So I don't think it's, obviously I don't think it's right, and, you know, people need to be held accountable, but I totally have, I don't know if I have the word for it. I understand how it happens.
Yes.
And I actually spoke to one of those women when I first got out, and I don't even know her name to keep, I can't, because this is 7 years ago, but one of those women reached out to me and was trying to figure out how to, like, what should she do now? Like, should she bust through it like I did and, like, just come out with it and like write a book and, you know, and bust through the shame, or should she, like, go into hiding because she wasn't sure? And actually, I've lost touch with her. I don't know what she decided to do. I think she went the other way and decided just to, like, rebuild her life and not expose it because she was so ashamed. So ashamed. And I think that's what keeps people quiet, is that if they do wake up from something like this, like I did, then and there was sex involved, and they did bad things, like, why would you want to even talk about it?
Right.
So I have a lot of empathy. I guess that's the word. I have empathy for that journey. And, like, nobody wanted, look, I didn't want this. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for Keith's initials on my body. They didn't sign up to be, you know, pimps for Jeffrey Epstein. They signed up for security and safety and whatever it was they thought they were getting at the beginning. And that's the thing. It's always bait and switch, right? There's always, like, I'm going to dangle this carrot, you know, for some of the actors that join NXIVM. Here's your, or even Rose, here's your career.
That's right.
I'm going to give you your career and you're going to everything you want. But it also comes with this. But that comes later.
I think it also becomes a thing. I mean, it's easy to also, like, on a personal level, just make fun of the shit out of, like, a Harvey Weinstein because he's such an ugly guy. And then we got all the other graphic details we never want from court and all that. But, like, the fact of the matter was he was a very powerful dude in filmmaking, was responsible for financing a lot of great movies, you know, and was someone who had built an enormous career. And what's so clear is that a huge part of it is he got off on that. And, like, he loved using that bully pulpit to, I don't know if it's, like, so deep rooted psychologically, like, get back at the girls that made fun of him when he was in 6th grade and was ugly. I don't know. But, like,
one can assume
whatever it is, you know, he acted upon that in the worst of ways, and then made people, no matter how successful they were or talented they were, like a Rose McGowan, or you've heard plenty of the other names as well who went on to have amazing careers, like, he made them feel like no matter how big they got, they were still so far beneath him that you can never say anything. I mean, even that story, what was it? Brad Pitt was on to this because he was dating Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh, yeah. And Gwyneth, years ago, told Harvey he'd beat the shit out of him or something like that. And then, but here's the thing. I don't know. That was many years ago, right, Deef? Yeah. Brad Pitt's later in one of my favorite movies of all time, Inglourious Bastards, in 2009, which is financed by Harvey Weinstein, which shows you, like, all right, what's the dissonance there?
Honestly, like, is even though I'm saying this as I want to maybe act again, so maybe I shouldn't say it, but, like, I just find Hollywood just gross. I find it just so disgusting. And the fact that Harvey Weinstein was doing this for so many years and people knew and turned the other cheek because everyone wants to work. But, like, what are we working towards? Like, you know what I mean? Like, ironically, I never did the LA thing. I probably would have had I not joined NXIVM. That kind of, like, derailed me from it. But, like,
God, you might have been better off too.
Maybe, I don't know.
Which is crazy.
Honestly, like, there were times when I actually went down in 97 with my girlfriend Victoria, and we, like, literally handed off our resumes at Miramax. Like, we, like, dropped it on the counter thinking that was going to be, like, our big thing. Went to Sky Bar. Some guy invites us up to his hotel room because he's doing a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, and, like, they need an actor for the waitress. And I was smart enough to go, no, that's not true. Right? Like, but I also knew that if, like, Leonardo DiCaprio was there and, you know, I don't know what I'd be able, but, like, I knew that I wasn't strong enough in myself to navigate Hollywood. So I avoided it. And that was the age of 19. So at least I had some self-awareness.
You had some self-awareness to that.
That I was like, you know, I didn't want to do that. So yeah, I joined a cult instead.
Yeah, I think also with That was good. I was like, you just tossed that one in there. I think also, though, like you're saying, it's like Hollywood, no matter how big they get, literally maybe unless you're Leonardo DiCaprio, like they all have to try out for roles.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to get selected by a group of people. It's not like what the internet era has become, which is just like guy like me can be in his parents' house and like if enough people click it, we're in business, right? They still to this day have to go through middlemen and checks and balances. So a part of, you know, maybe the quote unquote code of silence in there and the underbelly that is the negative part of it literally forms out of people, as you said, trying to just protect their career. But it's like,
for what?
For what?
Yeah. Like, what are we doing this for?
Yeah.
Have you watched The Studio with Seth Rogen?
I haven't. I heard good things.
It's great. It's really good.
Does it kind of show this dynamic?
Yeah, just all of it, and it just also makes me like it's so good that but it's also very anxiety inducing because it's just so stressful. Like, just the whole world is the world of Hollywood is just so. Even just like how one gets a job is so random. You know, like, oh, you look a little bit like my ex-wife, therefore you're not going to get the job. So, you know, how do you get work? Which is actually one of the reasons why I loved NXIVM so much is because the acting was so nebulous. There was no path to success that was specific. Like, oh, I do this workshop and then I sleep on this casting couch and then I'm going to get the job or vice versa, which, by the way, I've never done. But I know people who've done that, you know. The straight path in NXIVM, the martial arts system of ranking, which we haven't talked about, and we can, was like, oh, if I do this and then this and then this, I can get this. And then I'm growing.
It's a clear, you have an outline. Yeah. You have a goal set. Yes. You have steps that you see you can take. Whereas in Hollywood, it's throwing darts at the board like a monkey. It's like, let's see where it lands. Exactly. I understand that. So.
Can we pause actually right there? Because I have to use the bathroom
of course,
very badly.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, everybody, we are back. So we were just talking about how there were clear goals like laid out in the program for NXIVM. And so you'd also mentioned you're spending this whole week on the cruise with Mark Vicente. He's like kind of telling you how he just did these 16 days, which is like the initial training or whatever with NXIVM. And obviously like you're drawn to him through his filmmaking success. So you're like, oh, maybe this is interesting for me too. So how soon after that cruise did you like act on that and go to, I guess, like Albany and do this thing?
So ironically, there was a school at the time in Tacoma, Washington, which is not far from Vancouver. And some of those
NXIVM school.
Yeah. And there, some of those people had planned to come out to Vancouver and do the first Canadian intensive. And that was like, I want to say a month or two, like very soon after the cruise. So Mark told me about it. And I think that had this other woman whose name's Suzanne wasn't also on the cruise. She was there to recruit. And she's the one who like got me to fill out the paperwork. She was like, as soon as I said, oh yeah, I want to do that, she was like chasing me around the cruise, getting me to get the 48-hour discount, which by the way was my first red flag that I didn't understand what I was looking.
48-hour discount.
Yeah, there was a 40. So it was like
Billy Mays here for NXIVM.
Yeah, buy now, and you can get 40. Yeah, it was 26. It was like $2,700, but if you sign up now, it was like 21 and
$2,700, and like that's like
it's a lot of money
today.
It was a lot of money.
Fuck that.
I know. I don't know what I was thinking, and then my rent at the time was $400. So
come on,
totally could not afford it.
Yeah, where'd you get the money?
My credit card.
Oh,
yeah,
magic plastic.
Yeah,
right.
So I actually put down the $500 deposit to secure the 48-hour discount, which again, this is my first one. People say like, what was your first red flag? It was like right then when they were pressuring me, and it wasn't even Mark, it was Suzanne, to get the discount. And I should have been like, well, if it's so great, it'll be there when I'm ready and when I can afford it.
Who was Suzanne again? Was that his girlfriend?
No, Suzanne was just happened to be this other person from NXIVM who was specifically on the boat to recruit.
Got it. Okay.
And so she signed me up. That later became, I've never talked about this publicly, I don't think, a thing because she's the one who got me to sign up. But I signed up really because of Mark. And later, I didn't know this at the time, but it's like with MLMs, there's like, who do you bring in? Suzanne tried to claim me as her own. And I was like, no, I don't even like you. I'm here because of Mark. And so
Team Mark.
I'm Team Mark. They had to move me in the lineage, and there was a whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I later had similar situations where I was like,
red flag, by the way.
A huge red flag. Yeah. Like I belong to somebody, you know, right. Like you're my sponsor.
Well, that's where they start. Yeah. You see where that ends up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Master slave.
Makes sense.
Little clues. Little clues. So Suzanne got me to sign up, and then I put my deposit down, and actually very soon afterwards, well, first of all, I was excited at first to like do this training, and then I got home, and the euphoria of the cruise sort of wore off, and I was like, wait, I'm spending how much on a training that I can't afford this, and I called what turned out to be like the person above Mark, who is his field trainer, which is basically the person in charge of sales, and I was like, I can't do this. Like I'm waiting, I've got to be available for my agent to call, then I'm like an actor and, all these. And she basically gaslit me, which I didn't know at the time, and also double bound me, which basically she said, I'll explain that. She's like, wait, you're how old and you don't have the money? I'm like, I'm about to turn 27. She's like, and you can't afford to spend a few $1,000s on your success and your growth. Like when's that going to change?
Like that's kind of genius.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true. Like I was like, I want to change that. I want to make more money. I'm like, well, I'll
pay double.
Yeah. Priceless. And other things like, with the agent thing, she's like, so you're just going to wait for your agent to call you, or when do you want to be the master of your own ship? But that was the exact word she used, master of your own ship. And I was like, I want to be the master of my own ship. So so I ended up going, and that's like, so I tried to get out of it. Also, it was non-refundable deposit, and that's where sunk cost fallacy starts to play in. Like I've paid
good money after bad.
Yeah, I'm like, I put my money down. I might as well try it. And then the first training was a few weeks later. It's only 9 of us. It was my boyfriend, myself, and 7 other people. And I don't know how much you want to know about.
Yeah. What happens at the training? What's it like? Where you said it was out locally by you?
It was in a Holiday Inn in a suburb called Burnaby near Vancouver, like the most unimpressive Holiday Inn you've ever seen.
Is this back when they were having the commercials like, I slept at a Holiday Inn Express last night?
I don't remember, but possibly. But I remember walking in, and there was like a really cheap sort of continental breakfast from the equivalent of like a Panera sandwiches and like some eggs, and I was just like, where am I? And the facilitators were wearing terrible like power suits, and I was just like, I'm not in, like I actually didn't, I was imagining like an arena, like a Tony Robbins, like 100 to 1,000 people. I don't know what I was picturing. I was not picturing 9 people in a small training room of the Holiday Inn. It was very underwhelming and
humble beginnings.
Yeah. Right. But the coaches were nice, and Mark had said, like, it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird at first. Like, ride it out. Trust me, just wait till day 3, and then, like, it's going to be fine. And there was so many red flags.
Like what?
Red flags.
Besides the continental breakfast and Holiday Inn?
My favorite, I didn't make this up, but I saw a meme once that said, I saw the red flags. I just thought I was going to a carnival. Have you heard that before? So, like, these are the things I saw. And this is quite brilliant. I think that Keith knew, I don't know what specifically he studied. Every time I interview somebody now on our podcast about other cults, I'm like, oh, for sure he studied that. Like, Scientology and various yoga disciplines and, religion in general and like the Mormon church and like all these different things that we've studied since. I was like, oh, Keith took that from that and that from that. And one of the things he was very good at was just normalizing weird shit. Yep. And that's from the beginning. Nancy, who you've seen from The Vow in her power suit and her terrible eyebrows and her perm and the video.
She was given red flags.
I know. She was given red flags.
She just seemed like a bitch. Sorry. Like, a little bit.
You said it, not me.
Yeah.
And
glad we agree.
And I still have this like, because like there was a time in the middle there where I called her like my bonus mom. Oh. Like we got close. And then now like, so I felt that way at the beginning, and then we got close and I had her on a pedestal, and now like she never even like called me when I left. You know what I mean? So like I have a lot of feelings towards her, and we can get into that. But my first instinct was like, who's this woman? And she wasn't even there. It was her on a video. Right. So yeah, so it's her in a video being like, hi, I'm Nancy Salzman. Welcome to, I know.
Now you're taking me there. Don't do
right?
that.
And I've seen that video so many times since, so I know it so well. And her whole thing is like, we're here to grow. And wouldn't you agree that all successful people know their areas of limitations?
She is like when you watch her speak, like not even on the video ones, but when you would just see her speaking like in the videos on The Vow, where it's just all you guys like in the room and she's just talking with you. She's like a like a kind of bad actress in a dystopian movie, like where they're like, we're here to take care of you today. You're going to enjoy this. Like she literally talked like that. That was one of mine where I'm like.
And if anyone ever said like, I find Nancy to be too expressive and it weirds me out, which people said, including Mark in his first 5-day, they would say, well, that's because you have issues with expression. Because she's so expressive that anyone who doesn't like her level of expression aren't good at expressing themselves. So it's like your own projected lack of expression comes to the surface when you see Nancy expressing. It always go back to you. If you're like, I don't like this, it feels inauthentic. That's because you don't express authentically, Julian. So it was always, So anyway, I'm watching Nancy. She's saying all successful people know their limitations. Can we agree? Yeah, we agree.
Oh, she's saying that on the video to no one listening in particular?
Yeah.
Can we agree? Wait 5 seconds.
Yes, we all agree. All successful people know their limitations. We're here to grow. You paid good money. Wouldn't you agree that when you hit up against limitations, it's uncomfortable? Yes. So you're setting people up to say, if I'm feeling uncomfortable, it's because I'm hitting up against a limitation, not because this is weird, I want to get the fuck out. So they're setting up that you are going to go through this class and feel uncomfortable, and the facilitators all back this up. And I was trained to do it later. You're going to have the urge to leave. You're going to have the urge to eat, to smoke, to flirt, all the things we do when we're uncomfortable. I don't know if you've ever done any therapy, but this is true. When you're in therapy, it really fucking hurts and it's uncomfortable and it's vulnerable. So mixing truth, right? Mixing true things like therapy and self-reflection is uncomfortable with the fact that we're now seeing things that are problematic, but I can't say, oh, this is uncomfortable, and because it's my internal system saying I should leave. I'm already agreeing that if I see something that's uncomfortable, it's because there's something for me to look at. For example, first red flag, the sashes.
Yes.
Martial arts. My kids are in jiu-jitsu. They've done taekwondo. Like there's a reason why you start as a white, then you work your way up to a yellow, and then you go to orange, and then you green. There's like a whole system that's really wonderful. If NXIVM was what it was supposed to be, it would have been great. A martial arts system of personal growth. Like
the sash, just for people out there, something you would wear like around here. Right?
It was like this 2-inch thick, like went all the way down your waist, yellow. I mean, it starts white, yellow, orange sash, and you'd have to do certain things to get to the next level. So I had to wear.
You thought it was like weird at the beginning, but you're like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, and then they'd say like, if you feel weird about wearing a piece of fabric around your neck, then it probably means that you have some issues either with authority or measurement or ranking, and there's something to look at, and which is kind of true. Like I already told you about my measurement stuff, and also. What I didn't mention is that like I was the kind of girl who like just wanted to be good at everything. And if swim classes, you start at silver and then you go to maroon or whatever the fuck, I don't remember what they were. I was never good at that. So I'm like, oh, this is true. I quit when things get hard. And so this is the reason I don't want to wear a white sash. I want to wear the green sash. I want to be the best actually. So I was already like uncomfortable, but also kind of hooked in.
All of their messaging, whether it be the sashes or the prepping you for when you get uncomfortable, you're going to be tempted to do X, Y, and Z. It's basically taking logical thoughts that they know you're going to have, catching it before it's even thrown, turning it back on you and saying, yo, that's actually your problem that you're thinking. So it's making you uncomfortable with having a normal thought to make that thought seem completely unnormal or that idea seem not normal.
Yeah. Exactly. And
so fucked up.
And, brilliant in the sociopathic way.
Yes.
Or
it's textbook sociopath.
Textbook. And we're going to call this guy Keith Raniere, who created this, who's not in the room. By the way, we're going to thank him before every class. Thank you, Vanguard. Wait, we're calling him Vanguard? Oh, it just means leader of a philosophical movement. It's not a big deal. He created. Red flags. Vanguard? Okay. Found out that he came up with that from a video game years later, by the way. I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
So before I could even, because we were encouraged to express our concerns, but before I could even raise my hand, but I feel comfortable with this, somebody else does. And it's like, and we've already learned the term suppressive, which is like, if you have a negative thought about somebody's success, for example, that's suppressive. Like, I want to lower you. Like let's say we're podcasters and I feel jealous of your podcasting success and I want you to fail. That's a suppressive thought. I don't feel that way, by the way. I want you to succeed, which is humanitarian and tribute to you. And that's a positive thing. But if I had any negative feelings towards you, that'd be suppressive.
But they're calling normal feelings that aren't like suppressive so that you don't have, so you feel bad about them and don't have them.
Yeah. So I'm about to say, I don't feel comfortable calling this guy I've never met Vanguard and paying tribute to him. I've never met him. Somebody else says it first. And they're like, well, you may have some suppressive tendencies. And I'm like, shit, I better not say that. So I'm a good girl. I want to get the gold star. I want to go up the path, you know. I mean, not at the beginning. The first few days, I was like, this is so fucking weird. Also, my parents are therapists. So like I had a bit of a know-it-all thing. Like I already know all this. This is really for my boyfriend who needs to work on himself. I had a little bit of that going on. But at the same time, I wanted to do this curriculum so I could work with Mark. I had a lot of things going on at the same time. But my first day was very, very uncomfortable. And that's actually when I went home and Googled and saw some stuff. It wasn't nearly, of course, what it is now, but there was like a Forbes article about NXIVM being—
that was like the initial thing,
that was the
right?
initial bad one.
Like 03 or something
yeah,
like that?
But the accusations about what they were doing wasn't very clear. It's like they wear sashes and they go for long walks in the neighborhood at night. And it wasn't like, you know, sex trafficking and coercion and like all the things we know now. It was, people just thought it was weird, right? So that was something that, like, when I called Mark after day one, like, what the fuck did you get me into? And he was like, well, you know, we're doing these things in the world and people are going to push back. What's so funny?
It's all a part of the plan.
Yeah.
It's very Joker vibes. But,
totally.
yeah.
100%. And I'm just like, ugh. And he's like, just wait till day 3. You can't get your money back. Wait till day 3. He's like,
you can't get your money back.
Yeah.
There it is again.
Can't get your money back. And one of the things he did with me that I later learned to do, and this isn't all sales, it's called feel, felt, found. Do you know this?
Feel, felt, found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like give me a limitation as to why you can't take this program. Like pretend I'm trying to recruit you. Tell me one thing you can't. What would stop you? If I invited you to do NXIVM, what would you say you can't, like, why wouldn't you do it?
It sounds a little
Okay, I know how you feel, Julian. I felt the same way when I heard about NXIVM. I thought it was so and so dumb. We're gonna get in shit for using that word, but it's okay. I mean, this is the appropriate use of that word in this context. Okay, yeah. I know how you feel. I felt the same way. But what I found was when I took the curriculum, when I took the curriculum, it was like, even though it looked on the inside, it was actually really helpful in my life. That's feel, felt, found.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to give an example that'd be more helpful.
No, I see. That's enough. Like,
you get it.
Base psychological
yeah.
level. To
like I get
it's
you
saying, listen,
yeah.
I don't accept what you just said, but I accept what you just said. Here's why I think it's wrong, respectfully.
Bingo.
Okay.
Yeah. If I said, like, I don't want to get into YouTube because it's too expensive, you can say, I get it. I felt that way too. But what I found was
it is.
But you know, you're right. Keep that thought. So anything, I forgot what were we talking about?
Feel, felt, found.
Feel, felt, found. Yeah. Oh yeah. So he feel, felt, founded me, and he's
Mark
like,
did.
yeah, like I felt that way too. It's so weird. And by day 3, I think that you're gonna have some big shifts and you'll enjoy it. And he was right. By day 3,
what happened?
I mean, imagine sorry, this is a bit personal, but have you ever done any therapy or any like?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you usually do like an hour of therapy. I was basically doing 10 hours of therapy for 5 days. So by day 3, 30 hours in, I was unraveling stuff that I wanted to work on. I was there for very specific goals. I got some clarity on, things I was struggling with, and specifically my self-esteem, my relationship to money, my relationship to my boyfriend at the time.
How'd you get clarity on those things?
So the way that the 5 day is set up is like a group setting. So there's usually 4 or 5 people in a group. Remember, there's only 9 people in this group. So it's like 2 groups or 3.
It's intimate, though.
It's very intimate.
Yes.
And there'd be a coach leading a discussion, and you'd be talking about concepts like the first class. I used to have this whole thing memorized, but I've had to kind of block it out. But honesty and disclosure, and what is honesty and what is integrity. And you're basically redefining keywords like we all use: good, bad, value, self-esteem. And in those discussions, the idea was that this is what we thought we were doing. You'd be like looking at your foundational belief system about certain topics. And in those discussions, you'd have the awareness of like what was inconsistent. For example, money. Like a lot of people have money issues. And usually it's because one parent teaches, you have to have money to be successful. And maybe another parent teaches money is the root of all evil. right? That is what would cause, in NXIVM terms, a disintegration in your belief system.
That's interesting.
And this is kind of, this could be solved with therapy, basic cognitive behavioral therapy, or, talk therapy, or somatic different modalities that exist, like legit therapies.
But they're role playing it within their whole thing to make you feel like you're finding something, and maybe you actually are.
I think I was, and what I've since learned is that this is not something that Keith created. He stole from legitimate modalities and packaged it in such a way that I'm going through really, really fast therapy and having huge awarenesses and ahas about my life and how I communicate and how I feel about myself, and why I've, for example, in acting, why I had suppressive thoughts about people who were more successful than me. Like, that's something, if that was true, needed to be like evolved, because that's not good for me to feel that way. You want to be happy for people.
Right.
Right. So, and just a lot of things about just my life in general. I had a lot of anxiety. Like I said, I was addicted to sleeping pills. I forgot to mention that.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. I couldn't.
Already?
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of pills?
Those little blue ones. I used to steal them from my mother.
Okay.
Zopiclone, I think they're called. Zopiclone. I don't know what they're called here.
Not Klonopin.
Are they blue and oval shaped?
I mean, I don't fucking know. I never took one. But
Zopiclone.
Klonopin's in that family, or did I make that up, Steve?
They sound similar.
I dated a girl who was into Klonopin. What was that? Sorry.
Klonopins are more like a Xanax.
Yeah. Okay. These just help me
they
sleep.
Help you sleep, though.
Yeah, I never had a prescription. I just took them from my mother. But
that sounds healthy.
Yeah, it was great. So that was one of the first things
that would be an easy thing to not gaslight you on, by the way.
Oh yeah,
because it's like, oh my God, Sarah, you're abusing drugs that aren't yours, and they're not lying. No. They're very true. It's real.
And then it was the thing that I used as my testimony, because all good cults have some testimonials in the aftermath. Because now, after my 5-day and I've worked through a bunch of stuff, I'm sleeping better because I'm not anxious all the time. So now I'm like, I'm Sarah Edmondson, and I'm an actress, and I got off sleeping pills thanks to this program. And cut to 12 years later, I became the poster child for NXIVM, because I went from living in a basement suite to owning my own condo in Olympic Village, which is this beautiful part of Vancouver that I was living the dream, and I'm jumping many years, and we can talk about everything in between, but that's how it worked. Somebody like me would have a big shift, and they'd propel me to grow, and then they'd use me as bait for other people.
When this was sold to you, though, on the cruise, and you initially put the down payment in before you even go to this event, this is where I'm a little hazy on how this all works. Is it sold as, well, obviously it's sold as a self-improvement thing. Check there. We know that. But then is it also sold as, this can be a career for you?
No, not there.
Okay,
no.
So it's not there.
No.
Now when you're at this event and you start going through these days and having these enlightening openings, do they start kind of tossing out that card a little bit? Like, hey, by the way, if you join us all the way, whatever that is after this, I'm not sure how that works, you could actually become a part of the organization.
You can become a coach. And the 5-day, I think the last module is called Mission. What's the mission of this organization? Have you heard that Margaret Mead quote of there's no, I'm going to screw it up. There's no doubt that a thought, I used to say this all the time. You can look it up.
Margaret Mead, there's no doubt that
a group of thoughtful citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has, or something like that. That we are going to, basically the message is we are going to change the world. There it is.
Yeah, the most popular Margaret Mead quote.
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And Nancy would say that as she was crying.
Oh, she would make herself cry?
Yeah, in the video. And then
one eye?
I don't remember, but I got emotional. I cry at long distance phone ads.
Yeah, but you're a real person. Yeah, she's not.
That's true. No, she's a robot.
Long distance.
Right? You know what I'm talking about? That's me. So I'm
I think being an actress was a good call in a lot of ways.
I'm going to go back to it.
You can pull it.
You know what? That was actually something that I was never great at, to be honest. Yeah, I was good at doing it in real life. I can see someone getting married I don't know, and I'm in tears. But to pull it up is harder for me. But it can be done.
Did you do method acting or anything?
I dabbled with it.
You dabbled with it?
Yeah.
Strasberg, Little Daniel
Day-Lewis. Probably more Strasberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some real shit.
It's some real shit. I dabbled. It's more in that in indie films, not so much in my Hallmark era, but I did both. Hallmark, yeah. Hallmark saved me.
Hey, Hallmark pays.
Hallmark pays. I'm so grateful for my Hallmark career. And that's what I did after NXIVM, but I'll tell you that later.
Okay.
Where was I?
So you do this day. They have the mission at the end. Salzman's crying at the end.
Strasbourg is crying.
Yeah.
She,
I asked one eye because I want to know if there was some Vicks involved or something like that.
You know what? She was really good at turning it on and turning it off, and she was the ultimate actress. And I've seen her in action. She could, and you can see it in the Vow season 2, which I know you didn't get to, but I
haven't seen season 2. No.
Definitely check that out. There's some waterworks in there that people are like, oh, but she's crying. I'm like, she's definitely crying. I just don't know what she's crying about. Is she remorseful or is she sad for herself because she's going to jail?
She was before doing this, a registered nurse who had a specialty in hypnotism or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It's always what I was told. And then I don't actually know for sure. What we were told is that she trained with Bandler and Grindler, who are the fathers of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And that she trained with them in Ericksonian hypnosis, which are standard kind of therapeutic models, but they're tools that are a bit pseudoscience-y, and even in the therapy world, people are not in agreement about whether they're legitimate or not. But I think both of those things can be used in the right hands, can be very useful and can help people. But if they're in the wrong hands, can be quite detrimental.
So in the wrong hands here, she's on the mission day, getting emotional.
Yes, and my boyfriend at the time had actually signed up for the whole 16-day. I had signed up for the 5-day. So
you had the option of one or the other.
And he was like, I'm going to do the whole thing. And I was like, I'm going to see how it goes. And so he was going to continue. And I was like, well, I better continue because I had a bit of FOMO. If I had such a good time in my 5-day and what are the last 11 days going to be like? I better do it too. And because technically I had enrolled first and then I had enrolled him, not only at the end of our 5-day, we had a white sash, right? So everyone would get a little red stripe for completing the 5 days. But I got 2 red stripes because I had already enrolled somebody. Enrolled is the NXIVM term for recruited, which is also synonymous with building humanity.
Oh, so that's a nice term.
Yeah, so I was building humanity by bringing in my boyfriend, and I'd already the whole time in my 5 days, oh my God, my mom would love this, and my friend Nikki would really love it. So I was writing a list of all my friends that I thought would get. This is by day 5, so keep in mind, first 3 days really skeptical, a bit wary. By day 3, I was like, this is great. By day 5, I'm like, I'm going to bring this to Canada.
Breakthrough, kind of. Yeah. And
then I did.
You brought it to Canada. It hadn't really been in Canada.
Well, this was the first one in Canada, thanks to the people in Tacoma. I didn't bring it to Canada, but I opened the first center in Canada and made it thrive there because of all my friends in the film industry and blah blah.
Let's get to the 30,000-foot view in the air to provide full context for people. This has been great. So the people who aren't familiar with this listening right now, of which there are many, you're given a great outline of you and your background and how you ended up at this moment to potentially even go to this thing and do this and get into this. And people obviously know it all went south. But we keep talking about the Nancys and particularly we keep talking about Keith Raniere. And obviously people already have an idea that this guy's a complete sociopath and was the head of this thing and, did all this stuff. But let's talk about who he was, where he came from, his full background to get a picture into it. Because like I was saying earlier, when you watch him on video in the documented stuff, of course now he looks crazy and all that, and that's what I think. But, this isn't a guy who's he's not a 12 out of 10, you know what I mean? He's not this unbelievably good-looking guy or anything like that. But he has this odd, magnetic, no pun intended, but maybe hypnotic kind of charm to him and a way of making it feel like everything is about you. when really it's all about him. So where did he come from? Who was he?
So there's a lot of lore around Keith Raniere, and there's what we were told, and then there's what it actually was. So do you want me to start with what we thought he was and then go to
That's good. Let's start with what he thought he was, and then we'll get to his actual life story.
Okay. So when I was introduced to the Vanguard, he was the creator of this philosophical movement, NXIVM, which taught programs like executive training. He was using his 240 IQ after being a double grad at Polytechnical whatever the fuck institute, RPI in upstate New York. And he was using his brilliant brain to create a modality that would help people to evolve all their limitations and find joy. And then if we reach the world leaders, then we'd have peace. Essentially, that was the mission. Like if we could reach the right people, we wouldn't bomb each other because we would be integrated and happy and ethical, and we have no need to like, take each other's shovel from the sandpit of the
Almost like a religion says.
Yeah, exactly. But we weren't a religion because we wanted to, which was also his downfall, because then he would have been protected like Scientology. Right? So he didn't want to have a religion. He wanted something that, Jews and Christians and Muslims could come together, we could all agree upon and have the same understanding of what good and bad is and have dialogue, and it was going to be the thing that brought world peace. I mean, the most bullshit altruistic mission that ever existed, but assuming that it was true would have been great. It wasn't true, obviously. We were told he was a judo champ, chess player, concert pianist, so many things. He was just this Renaissance man.
Basically, he's a savant.
Yeah, he's a savant. Yeah. And anytime people felt weird around him, which I always did, it was like, well, it's because he's Keith. He's the Vanguard. He can trigger people's insecurities. I actually thought that the reason I didn't want to spend time with him is because I wasn't smart enough or depthy enough. And that was something that I would get feedback on. Like, I'm too materialistic and he's so depthy that sometimes if you connect with him, like I didn't feel secure enough. So that was what I thought about myself. And also that we'd been told that we shouldn't bring anything to him for, advice if we could ask somebody else, because his time is so precious. It's worth millions of dollars per hour. So
per hour.
It was like, I think it was like $25,000 an hour is his coaching time. Like that's what he's worth. So I'm not going to ask him about, whatever I was struggling with if I could ask my coach. But I think intuitively, I just didn't like him. I felt uncomfortable around him. And I think
even at the beginning,
I respected him, but I didn't want to like pursue him to spend time with him. Like a lot of people would be like, I want to get his time and like talk to him about whatever it is they were working on. And I just didn't do that for whatever reason. But I think it's that. I think it's just that like somewhere intuitively I was like, that's going to keep him over there.
Safe to say though, at the time, outside of little details in like that '03 Forbes article that you had Googled, it's not like the guy had a Wikipedia page with all of his escapades and life story and whatever. You didn't have all that. But now that we do know.
What do we do know about him?
Yes.
Yeah. So
that?
So what we know now, and I'm going to butcher this because this is what I've been told. I didn't know him in this time, but what I've been told from other people who've been, that were close to him during this time is that he was not very smart. He was on probation or whatever at RPI and with 2.6 or something, like a low GPA, and was using his okay, let me back up for a second. He had a low GPA, but was like high on the charts of like certain IQ testing and had been since he was little. And that went to, this is what we were told by somebody who knew him his whole life, that he got some testing when he was little and that went to his head that he was like better than everybody else and had been kind of manipulating people around him, especially women, since he was like 12.
He was another Brooklyn guy too, right?
Was it Brooklyn? I think it was Albany. I think he grew up in Albany.
Can we Google that?
Yeah.
Where he was born and grew up. Could have sworn. I mean,
maybe
you would know better than me, but born in Brooklyn, but was he raised in Albany? That's important. What have we got?
He moved to Suffern when he was 5.
Okay, so he's raised in upstate New York. Gotcha.
Saffron's in upstate?
Oh, I assume so.
It's like right over the border.
Okay,
I never even heard of that. Yeah,
got it.
And we'd heard that his father, so we knew someone who knew his father who said that at the age of 12, he was like telling multiple women that like they were the one and they were like he was manipulating multiple women at the same time from a very young age. And this continued into his 20s and he had multiple businesses. One of them was called CBI, Consumers Byline International.
Didn't he start at like Amway or something?
Yeah, he did some Amway trading. That's where he started.
Oh.
And CBI was definitely, he was an MLM as well. And this is before Costco and Sam's Club were really big. And that took off. And apparently, like when I was in it and we were told what happened is that this CBI was such a threat to things like Costco and Sam's Club that they went after him to shut it down because, he's a threat.
So it was a similar business? It was Like wholesale food and stuff?
Wholesale vitamins, products, different things but in a pyramid scheme, like a pyramid. And
that's important.
Yeah. And he, I'm going to butcher the details of this, but he paid a bunch of fees and he was told he could never start a pyramid, an MLM ever again, which he didn't. That's why he's not on any of the paperwork of all the ESP. That's why he's the philosophical founder. He's not the president. Nancy's the president. So basically he did it again.
Interessante.
With NXIVM, but had Nancy be the president.
Now, let's start with this. What do we know about prior to NXIVM, his personal, actual partner relationships?
From what we know, he was, I guess the term would be polyamorous. Like he had multiple partners and some of the women knew about the other women and they like lived together and other women didn't. And he would like bring people in and not tell them, or like I guess he was trying like see what works. Do we tell them in advance and see what sticks, or not tell them and then connect the create the trauma bond and then introduce the other women. So yeah, he cycled through quite a few, and by the time I joined, some of there was like OG women that he'd known since he was like 19.
Wow,
were still with him, and I thought they were like his executive board and his assistants and things like that, but they were his spiritual wives. And for those people who are listening who can't, this is so much information, is that ESP was pitched as a personal development training program, like in the Tony Robbins world, right? And there's a lot of stuff like that at the time, and there still is. There's PSI, there's EST, Earhart Seminar Training, which turned into the Landmark Forum, and LifeSpring, and I mean all these things I think are super problematic because they're called large group awareness training, as you were familiar with that term, LGAT.
I don't think so, no.
So anytime you're doing therapy in a large group, so large group awareness training is what they call it, it's just really problematic because you're doing transformational, deep inner work in a group, which like most times, like I'm not a trained therapist. You know what I mean? Like I was digging into people's psyche with tools that were given to me. I mean, I was good at it, and I think that's about not to pump my own tires, but I think I was good because my parents were therapists, and I was able to help people like navigate troubling waters. But if you go to something like Tony Robbins and you're with thousands of people in an arena and you're having a emotional breakthrough, no one's there to help you unless you're one-on-one with Tony Robbins on stage. Right. So it can be very dangerous.
For sure. Mm-hmm. So he also, though, in addition to living polyamorously and all that, we now know he also, from a younger man's age, I should say, like, even dating back to his early 20s, but throughout his adulthood, he was also a pedophile. And he was essentially sometimes I think there was one, I don't know if you knew any of these girls personally, but there was even one where he like sponsored some Mexican girls to like come to America and then made them his sex slaves or something like that. And they were all underage. Mm-hmm. When he did it, eventually they came of age after they'd already been abused. But meaning there were many patterns of this that just weren't known. Correct. When you were coming into NXIVM.
Yeah. Even when we were there was a whole curriculum that he taught us about like slander and like, God, it's complicated to explain, but he was like, what are they going to say? We got this training from day one. People are going to say we're in a cult. Why do they say it's a cult? Because it's cuts you off at the knees. They're not saying you are doing X bad thing. A cult just is sort of a smear. And if someone says you're in a cult, you say, what's bad about what I'm doing? And even people who said I was in a cult, like, okay, well, I know it's weird. I felt found. I thought it was weird too. What are we doing that's bad? I'm in a success program. I'm working through my limitations. I'm happier. Like, go fuck yourself, right? So I lost my train of thought. Help me find the thread.
He was saying from
cult.
day one you're in a cult and how to respond
what's
to
the worst thing you could say to someone? He's a pedophile. Of course they're going to call him a pedophile. So if there was any news about that, and there was, the Times Union up in Albany was always saying, he did this, he did that. I was like, well, of course they're going to say that because he's teaching ethics and he's pushing back on all the unethical things that are happening in the world. Of course they're going to do a smear campaign against him. So we just thought that was funny.
He's getting out in front of it.
He totally got out in front of it. So, yeah.
So you never saw
anything
that looked suspicious.
Here's what I saw. My very first red flag was with one of my girlfriends that I had brought in. My friends that's a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one of my friends I brought.
Yeah, you gotta say that.
Yeah,
now.
my.
Was she born a girl too? All right, that's
my son who's 6 is like, Mom, don't say girlfriend because you're not a lesbian. I'm like,
Your 6-year-old son saying that.
He's the cutest fucking kid. He's so funny. I'm like, yeah, sorry, Ace. Okay, he's like, okay, yeah, my girlfriend, my friend that's a girl, I brought in, and one of the red flags was that she wanted to move to Albany, and she had a very successful career as an actor. And I'm like, why are you moving to Albany? Like, I was in it to win it, but I wasn't moving to Albany.
You were out in
I was out in the world in Vancouver. I was like, at this point, we're like doing trainings down in LA. We're doing trainings at like A-list actors' homes. It was very glamorous.
You're doing trainings at A-list actors' homes?
Mm-hmm.
Any names there?
Oh, man.
You don't have to.
I don't want to say. It's out there.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't want to drag anyone through it. But
these aren't people that then publicly joined?
The one person that has been public about it was Gerard Butler. And that was somebody who was like, okay at the time to say it. There's other people that have come out since but never wanted to be associated, or maybe like took a 5-day. There was one very famous actress who did a 5-day at her home. Nancy went and trained it. I'm like, I should go because I'm an actor. I wasn't allowed to go. I was really mad. Very famous actress. Anyway, that was all, like, it was blowing up. Like, we thought this is happening. We're doing this. Meanwhile, my friend's moving to Albany, and I remember thinking, like, why, like, and her career was way more successful than I was. She was the lead on a show. And I remember getting the hit that this is actually in my book, this moment where I'm like, are they like sleeping together? The way that she talked about him, like, oh, I have to be Keith. Yeah, she was like, I have to be available for Keith. Like, he might call me. And I'm like, for what? Like, oh, we're doing some projects. Like, she was a bit cagey about it. And I dismissed it for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
A, like you said, he's not 12 out of 10. B, as facilitators, as coaches, we weren't supposed to have relationships. Like, if I'd brought you in as a recruit, I wasn't supposed to date you because that would have been wildly inappropriate. Right?
Yeah,
and same thing with him. Like,
of course,
he's the head of this, and it's personal, and we're in each other's, like, that would have been. And then what was the other reason? Yeah, just like, ew. Yeah. So I had the feeling, and then I dismissed it. Oh, and he's celibate.
Oh, right.
Right?
He doesn't fuck.
Fuck, yeah.
Now, how often were you going out to Albany yourself? Like, you weren't living there, but
no. At the beginning, a couple times a year. So for sure, I did my first 5-day in Vancouver, and then I finished my 11-day out in Albany a few months later, and I rolled right from there into V-Week. Vanguard Week.
Oh.
Yeah. Red flag, 10-day celebration for Vanguard's birthday at a summer camp at a YMCA in upstate New York.
At a YMCA?
Mm-hmm. Silver Bay. It was beautiful. YMCA retreat center. Silver Bay, if you look it up. Huh. Gorgeous. If you see that in the Vow, and there's like big like drone shots of like lake.
Yeah, that's a YMCA?
Yeah, it's a YMCA.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
YMCA is a weird.
I know. There it is. Look at that.
Come on.
That's a
YMCA.
It's the Silver Bay.
That don't look like the Brooklyn YMCA, beef.
Don't.
Yeah, it's a little higher class. That's giving some Buckingham Palace bullshit.
I mean, keep in mind it was still pretty rustic. It looks pretty there.
Oh, yeah, look, it's got the YMCA logo. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Did we miss that?
This one?
X out. No, X out. It was just there. X out of the thing. I'll see it. See it right there?
Oh,
Look
there it
at
is.
that.
Yeah, the YMCA.
No shit.
Now,
God, all I ever think about is like musty old men going into a locker room for a steamer.
My boys play basketball at the YMCA now, and it's
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's a whole thing.
I would think you'd have PTSD. Shit.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't look like that. But
yeah, no. You're like, yeah, this is classless enough around here for me. Jesus Christ.
But Silver Bay in August was beautiful, and we had great times there. And I went to Vanguard Week 12 years in a row.
Vanguard, a 10-day celebration for his birthday.
That's why I've never been to Burning Man because
yeah, I don't think that's for you.
No, it's 100% not for me.
Yeah,
I don't like dust. First of all,
yeah,
I like to dress up, but I don't like dust and dirt and wind. So no,
I don't know. I don't have what's it called? Any motivation or desire to go to Burning Man. It just sounds like,
dirty.
It sounds like what's that one where they fuck the owl out in the woods? out in out in San Francisco. Nixon had the famous quote. Didn't Alex Jones like catch it one year? Yeah, Bohemian Grove.
Oh, I don't even know that one.
Yeah, you know what? Don't worry about it. But yeah, that's when I hear, maybe it's the Bees, but when I hear Burning Man, it like kind of gives me a little bit of Bohemian Grove vibes. I don't know if I'd want to go out there.
No, I think I missed my window for that.
Do you think it was deliberate that he wore longer hair and a beard? And I mean, what I'm getting at is
Jesus vibes. Yeah, I think that was deliberate. And then there was a time about 5 years in when they cleaned him up and they cut his hair. You can pull up some pictures. There's like early Vanguard, and then there's late Vanguard.
Late Vanguard. He had Heiress.
He did. He started wearing like little like Lacoste shirts and nice jeans and like cute sneakers. They cleaned him up. He had like a whole.
Who's they?
I mean, I thought it was his assistants, but his spiritual wives.
Oh,
yeah.
From the actual, okay.
Yeah, see that's late Vanguard. So early Vanguard is that's how with the long hair is what he looked like when I met him. Right. Schlubby.
And then over there on the left.
Yeah, that was his cleaned up professorial vibes.
Right.
Some nice crew necks, some V-necks. And
yeah, he was, that's the thing. He was still trying to give off a soft look. He wasn't trying to look like a hardo.
Oh, look at he's got his hand there.
Look at what?
He's got his hand
on the
this
chin,
was
like
his
he's listening to. I noticed when he'd be speaking with people, he would turn his head like that and look at you.
Yeah. Oh God, you're creeping me out a little bit.
Right?
Yeah. Actually, my husband, who was also an actor, for Nancy's birthday, Nancy used to have this festival of flowers, just with Vanguard Week, and then there's a weekend for Nancy, Festival of Flowers.
Festival of Flowers.
Everyone would give her flowers. Her whole house would be full of flowers. Super fucking creepy.
Yeah.
And she, people would do skits for her, and one of the skits. They asked, because my husband Nippy was really good at doing impressions of everybody in NXIVM, which was like really funny. People like, do David. And he'd like walk around like, oh my God, that's so funny. He had an impression of Vanguard, and they got, I can get it for you if you want. It's fucking hilarious. Because we have it on Vimeo, and they got him to he like did an impression. This is when we were still in it. And it was so funny because he nailed all his mannerisms and his like his little glasses thing and his and the way that he taught, like basically presenting as a as this deep philosophical, caring, empathetic person. So he was like he was mirroring the mannerisms of somebody who was like a guru and caring, and he was acting, you know. And Nippy nailed it, and I obviously was the back, so I didn't see him, but apparently Keith looked remarkably uncomfortable because I think he.
Mask off.
Yeah, mask off.
How tall was Keith?
You might want to look that up. I want to say 5'7" or 8.
It's always.
Yeah, I know. Miscavige too.
They always are trying to take Matt Cox, my buddy, who's like 5'5" and was a prolific mortgage fraudster.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's always like, never trust us. We're always trying to take over the world.
Napoleon complex.
I'm like, dude. 5'5".
Oh, there you go. Shorter than I thought.
Even shorter. And like,
I'm 5'4".
I'll tell you, one of the things that really freaked me out, and you just kind of mentioned it, is when he would do the arm cross. I can't even do it, but like the way he would do the arm cross thing, so like kind of grab and almost like his shoulders. It's hard to describe, but people will know it when they go look at the tape on the vow, and like almost grab it in like a philosophical way and lean his shoulders back and tilt his head. There's a lot of video of Jeffrey Epstein doing the same exact thing. Yes.
Really?
And it's such a. I can't do it, and I can't describe it correctly. I could do the head thing, but like that one's easy. But like the way they would just kind of like move their shoulders and move their arms or whatever, there's like there's almost like this soft underbelly thing to it, and you feel really weird watching it. Maybe it's just because I've seen so much tape of Epstein doing that over the years when you're looking through this case, but it was the same exact kind of thing, and I was like, oh.
So it was interesting is that he taught us about sociopathy. Suppressives, a full suppressive, not suppressive tendencies, but someone with that was a full suppressive was what I now know as a sociopath. And it was something
he taught a class on this.
Yeah, it was called The Fall. And it was if someone's taken The Fall, they've learned, okay, I think I need to tell you this because this is in line with your podcast. Give me a second. I'm gonna go into NXIVM land for a minute. Okay. Oh, it's
method acting.
And I just have to retain a bunch of information I haven't talked about in a while. Hold on a second. Backing up. So one of the principles in NXIVM was that we defined self-esteem as a range of options that somebody has in a given context. So you might have high self-esteem around money because you feel good about making money, but maybe you're bad with relationships. You have low self-esteem in that area. So somebody with high self-esteem in all areas of their life feels like if someone doesn't want to go out with them, they still feel fine because there's more fish in the sea, right? So there's lots of options. So options are based on ethics. And if you're a good person and you're ethical, you're going to play by the rules of the world, which is like no lying, stealing, cheating.
Right.
And those are your options. And you have a morality. And you know that if you do something bad, if this is like a line, lying, stealing, and cheating are bad things. You wouldn't do that because you're a moral, ethical, conscious person, right? So these are your options. Sociopaths realize that they can do a bad thing and they don't feel bad about it. So they have all these options that we don't have. I'm assuming you're not a sociopath.
No, I feel awful about leaving a piece of trash on the ground.
Same. So a sociopath has all of these options in positive and then negative in terms of like lying, stealing, and cheating. And therefore they have, when someone has options and they have high self-esteem, they're like a high self-esteem person. You want to be around them. They have, they present a certain way. And so when someone's taken the fall and they become a full suppressive, they operate in the world here, but we're not suspecting that they're over here on this side because we don't project that onto them. So when you meet somebody like Keith or whoever, any one of these people that you've talked about, we assume that they are who they say they are because we wouldn't lie. And they know that. But
he's teaching it like the wolf in the hen house.
Yes. Yeah. So you'd never suspect that he had taken the fall and that he was a full suppressive and he was a sociopath. And we even did whole classes about like how sociopaths have different ways of playing out. Like they can, slash your tires and feel good about it, or they can slowly poison your dog over time. And they prefer that because it's more enjoyable to watch you suffer. Like those are the kind of things that we learn about. And
that's like almost beyond sociopathy right there, right?
I mean,
it is, but
yeah, it's next level. And there's a whole other thing if you want to really deep dive is I believe there's women around him that died, like the original women that he had from his inner circle. They died of a very aggressive cancer when we were there. The 2 purple sashes, by the way. So I got to green sash. There was 1 blue and 2 purple sashes. That's the high up as it went. And they both died of cancer when I was there. And I believe that they were poisoned and he poisoned them. This is my opinion, allegedly. Like no one prove it.
Unfortunately would totally buy it.
Yeah.
When you look at his
track record,
whatever you want to call it, resume.
Yeah, and these women, like I knew them. They were fit. They were exercised. They had infrared saunas. They drank kombucha and green juice. Like these were fit women who all of a sudden.
What kind of
cancer? Barbara Jeske had a brain tumor, and Pam K. Fritz, his Julian, had a I want to say liver. I forget exactly. You can probably look it up. It's been a while since I've talked about that, but I was at both of their funerals, and both of the women had very aggressive downfalls very, very quickly. And one of the women that I've talked to was there in Pam's hospital room when she was dying, and he was like putting stuff in her IV bag. Yeah. So like and I don't know why the FBI didn't touch that. I guess they had enough stuff to get him in jail without trying to prove that. But like there's a lot of evidence that points to he just was
The woman saw that happening?
Mm-hmm. And felt uncomfortable with it, but like he's the Vanguard. So
So she didn't.
Yeah. And there's other things, there's other like stories I could tell you that point to that. But those were the older women that had been with him and that were his age. And he was getting like, I would have been barely too old. Like they were talking women and they're like 20, 30 years younger than him that were coming in, and he was expanding his harem. And I think the older women were like,
his
hey.
harem.
Yeah. His harem of women, his circle of spiritual wives. So he had to get rid of the old guard to make room for the new guard. Sorry, this is so dark.
No, it's I fully expected it because I know what that is, and you have a really good way of being able to delve into the stuff. And like I said before we got on camera, when it gets to stuff that you don't feel comfortable talking about, no problem at all. I just appreciate you sharing
Thank
any
you.
of it. But it's strange, like when I go to do one like this once in a while, where it's going to be like really heavy stuff and I know it's coming, like I wake up a certain type of way in the morning and I'm
really?
like, yeah. I don't know, I like I'm ready for it, but I'm not ready for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel the same way every time. I'm like, why am I still talking about this? Because it's like, I mean, sometimes it's cathartic. Sometimes it's like ravages my nervous system.
But I think it helps a fuck ton of people you can't see.
Yeah.
Because it allows people to see where you could fall into traps, or where things in your life could be zigging, you want it to zag, and you pick the.
Honestly, every time I think I want to quit, and especially with our podcast, and it gets draining, and sometimes it's really rewarding, and other times it's hard. Every time we want to quit, we get an email or a DM of like, I just got out of X thing because of the vow or because of your podcast. I'm like, okay, well, let's just keep.
You're saving lives. That's a great thing.
Well, I get to help people, which is ironically what I wanted to do with NXIVM. Like I was helped and I felt changed, and then I wanted to do the same, which is why I was such a good recruiter, because I was like, I really believed in it, which we kind of skipped that part. We're
going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that. I'm just staying on Keith because we're kind of going through his psychology right now. So it's, you believe, and I would totally buy that. You believe that he may have even poisoned people around him and basically had them killed. That would make sense to me that he would do that. But, you mentioned he was building a harem here, and we're going to get to where that got really, really dark and quite literal. But, the organization is filled with hundreds of people, and it's men and women.
Yeah.
Do you think, obviously we know now he was constantly trying to get access to young, vulnerable women and stuff like that to take control of them and, live out his sick, sadistic, twisted fantasies. Do you think that he just let men in there for cover?
Kinda. Yeah. I think so. Like with my husband, who's like, former quarterback, Ivy League, went to Brown, like model, like a handsome man. And he wasn't targeted the same way. I think he was there so that it would give credibility for other people to look like, well, he's here. You know what I mean? Obviously, Keith's not trying to get him into his harem, but it's like he gets to have a loyal soldier on the outside.
I think it was, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong here, maybe it was Mark who was saying in the vow, Mark Vicente, that he was like the only male friend Keith had. Like he was the only one from the organization that really hung around Keith, and Keith seemed to enjoy hanging around him. And my takeaway was, well, that's because Mark's capturing him and is like putting him on film to build his legacy, and he sees, the cameraman as the creator of that. Is that a fair takeaway?
Yeah. And I think that, in the same way that like I didn't take to Keith, I more took to Nancy and her daughter Lauren, who's the person I really looked up to, which comes in later. Yeah. Mark really did put Keith on a pedestal. And, I don't know if Sarma talks about this in part 2, but we all have our patterns. There's fight or flight, and there's also fawn. Fawn. Which, I
don't think she said that term.
Because she hadn't read the book yet. I just gave it to her, and we're reading it together right now. And it's something that we both did, which is like there's fight or flight, right? Which everyone knows about. It's survival. Freeze, which often happens in like a Harvey Weinstein situation where women just like freeze and dissociate, and they just have to get through it because they know they can't fight back. And then there's fawn, which is to be agreeable, to be sometimes even flirty, which can happen in one of those situations. And that certainly happened with me where I'm like, I better just appease this to smooth it out until I can get out. Right? I've never had a situation like we talked about earlier, but I've had similar, like could have gone that way.
For sure. You're dangerously close by the end.
Yeah, dangerously close. And appeasing and being a people pleaser, which I actually remember Nadine was talking about on your podcast, was like, how, women are conditioned to be agreeable and to otherwise you're a bitch, right? And I didn't have the term fawn in my vocabulary, but I knew that I knew I was a people pleaser. I knew I was an accommodator. I'm being a caretaker, an overmother, like a nurturer. I was like, that's just sort of like, you're not feeling well. I have a vitamin C in my bag. Let me take care of that for you. Like that feels really good for me. And that sort of feeds into the whole, like, we're going to get along and I'm going to be appreciated by you. And that's my value. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Where do you think that came from? You wanting to take care of people? Does that have anything to do with your way younger brother? Or
my mom got really, so after my parents divorced, my mom got really sick and she had rheumatoid arthritis. Oh, wow. And this chunk of my life is I don't have a lot of memories, but I have a very strong memory of like rubbing cream into her feet so she could walk at a young age. And I just don't think I had a really necessarily normal childhood in that way. Maybe like reverse parenting in terms of like caretaking, like didn't have the full, like I think I felt better being somebody who could take care of others. And I think my parents were going through stuff and I kind of grew up quickly in that way.
Yeah. I was talking with Sarma about like, her love languages and where some of that like could have come in, but it's kind of coming in with you too. Like
Yes.
clearly your affirmation, your probably quality time as well, because you wanted to feel a part of things around
Yes.
people. And then at least on an active level, how you show love is service.
Yes.
Is it in the same direction coming back to you too? Do you value when
I
people
do.
show that to you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, truthfully, I love them all. I also like gifts.
Yeah, no, there's people who are dominant in 4 sometimes.
Yeah,
but
but-
have all 5 in some degree.
Yeah, and affirmation is important to me as well. And that's something that I have to
That's
like,
clear.
yeah, I
Yes.
have to like tell Nippy, I'm like, I need you to tell me now, you know, that I look good or like that you love me, because that was not his love language at all. And that was something we've grown. That's a separate podcast.
Yeah. No, that's interesting too. Like you guys had a lot of things stacked against you. And you
We
have a great
really did.
relationship.
And especially, this is a total tangent, but especially NXIVM, we weren't allowed to have needs. Like anything beyond Maslow's, like food, water, shelter, is what was called a desire. So if I had a need to, like if I felt like Nippy and I started long distance and I felt like upset that he wouldn't text me to say goodnight. If I were to say, can you like communicate with me? Because I want to like, know that we're together and you love me or whatever. That the response would be, I would have to go get an EM, because why do I need him to be anything different for me to be okay?
Whoa.
Yeah. So we learned to not have needs. Like I need to self-soothe. I need to love myself. I don't need anything from the outside world. So by the end of NXIVM, we had to like really do a lot of unwinding to be like, I need to connect with you right now because I would like to talk to you. Like
Yeah.
that's really hard.
Yeah.
And
It's like you have to deprogram yourself.
100%.
Like you're a real human in every way. You recognize things, you feel things, but you've had this virus software
Yeah.
put in you. And it's not just as simple as like dragging it to the trash box
No.
and hitting an empty box. You got to like call over a coder and
Yeah.
type in a lot of shit and like,
100%. I remember one of my first therapy sessions with a guy who was just like a regular therapist, not a cult counselor, which came later. I was explaining this to him about the needs thing, and like exactly what I just said to you. These are the needs, and then there's the needs to anything else is considered in NXIVM's term a desire or a non-integrated fixation.
Can I say
Yeah,
something?
yeah,
I've just been thinking this all day. I can't not say this.
Yeah.
Another huge red flag,
Yeah.
looking at it hindsight 2020 now, is how they use big $5 words for everything.
Like what?
It wouldn't be like, they wouldn't say like, let's just make you feel better about yourself. They'd
Yeah.
say, let's have a modality to spiritual connection with an understanding of the 5th dimension to get to a place of self-esteem where you feel good.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's called
Like,
loaded language.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Whenever I see someone who can make 15 words where one would suffice, I'm like, chill B. You know what I mean?
Yeah, loaded language is when people start fucking with your language, you know that there's a problem.
Right.
You want to change how you talk, change what words mean.
Yeah.
Major red flag.
So when you back to your timeline though here, when you went out to Albany to do your last 11 days and then, now at this point, that's where they shifted over to hey, you can join us as a career and be a coach and all that. So you go out west, you're doing classes out there. You mentioned you're doing some classes in LA sometimes.
And down in Seattle and Tacoma.
And
so
down
I was
in Tacoma.
every weekend almost. I was driving 3.5 hours, 5 hours sometimes with the border from Vancouver to Seattle, Tacoma, and doing like a day of training and then coming back. Like,
what are you doing during the week? Preparing for that pretty much?
I mean, at the beginning, at that point, I was still acting and auditioning and, whatever else I was doing. I don't know.
Oh, so you are still trying to do
I was
that.
still acting. For the first couple of years, I was still acting. In fact, the tools, the tech, which is also a Scientology word, by the way, the technology, rational inquiry, which is Keith Raniere's model of helping people, here's the big words again, evolve your belief system so that you're more integrated, blah, 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 be happier. The tech was something, oh my God, see, I was worried this might happen. I feel like my blood sugar is crashing and I'm losing my train of thought. I might have to eat a power bar in a second. But what was it we were just talking about?
Whenever you want.
Thank you. But what were we just, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was using the technology to be a better actor. I had a lot of audition nerves. I would go into an audition and like dissociate. I was so nervous.
Dissociate.
Yeah.
Can
Like,
you describe what that would be like?
I would go out of my body and not be, like in an audition and acting, you're supposed to be present and
Yes.
connect with the other person and do whatever the dialogue says. And go on along the ride and sometimes
Feel it.
Yeah. And if I dissociate it, I'd come back and I'd be like, I don't even know what I did. Like I was so nervous that I would check out. So I use the tools to work through that pattern, get an EM. What am I making this mean that I'm so scared? And I got better at auditioning. I started booking more work. I did a film that ended up at TIFF, which is an actor that's like a huge thing. Joey's like, yeah, TIFF is the Toronto Film Festival.
He's tracking.
Yeah.
I knew that one too, by the way.
Yeah. You're like, I know.
Just give me 4.5 gold stars. Come on.
Yeah. Ironically, I played a sociopath in that movie, and that was like one of my favorite film roles of all time.
Oh my God, that's like Robert Downey Jr. in fucking Tropic Thunder. I'm the dude that's playing the dude. The script. You were living that. Very sorry. That's
no, it's fine.
A little close to home.
Yeah, it's fine. So I was really living my best life. The first couple of years in NXIVM, I was using the tools. I was getting better as an actor. I was going to TIFF. I was flying to LA, doing these fancy trainings with the Whistler Film Festival. I was bringing in all my friends that I thought they would enjoy it. Some of them were moving to Albany. I was like, that's dumb, but okay, do you. And things are great.
Are you getting, when you bring people in, are you getting paid on that?
Not at first. So one of the ways I was able to do so much curriculum is that they had this thing called 3 and It's Free, where if you brought in 3 people, I know, it's so cringe. So I had brought in my boyfriend, I brought in my mother, I brought in my friend Nikki.
And then brought in your mom.
Yeah. I brought in my mom because she was, I was like, you got to do this with me, Mom. And she was very reluctant. She was like, I'm not saying the mission statement and I don't want to wear a sash. And like, she was on to him. But I just thought she didn't get it.
The psychologist was on to him. I'm not surprised.
No, she knew. Your mom, you were right. Okay.
Good for you.
Yeah. She loves to know that. So I got so basically 3 and It's Free, I got my money back. And instead of taking my money back, I said, use that to finish the 11 days. So I was like, started to make some money. And then because I was telling so many people, they're like, you could become a salesperson. So after I had enrolled a certain amount, you could earn 20% of your sales and put that towards more curriculum. So that's how they kind of kept me going. I didn't have the money to pay for it, but I was just bringing people in and that was covering the cost.
Were you thinking, so this is where it gets above my pay grade legally, but there is, I believe, please correct me in the comments on this if I'm wrong, and maybe Dee, if you can help out on Google here. I believe there is a technical difference legally between pyramid scheme and multi-level marketing. Am I wrong about that?
I literally just did an episode on this.
Okay.
With a woman named Bridget Reed.
Okay, please explain.
Who did a book called Little Bosses Everywhere. And if you want to dig into MLMs, she'd be a great person to have, by the way.
That's interesting.
She's awesome. And she looked at the whole history of it. And so this is not my field, but this is what I've gathered, is that there's a lot of people who are very powerful in high places in politics and in the world who are high up in certain things like Amway, who are friends with people who are politicians, who have basically loopholes to make it so that MLMs are legal, but they are pyramid schemes. So like the FTC says don't do it because nobody makes money except for the people that start them.
Right.
Like 99% of the people that join don't make money, just the people at the top, right? But no, they're the same. They're the same thing. MLMs, direct sales, pyramid scheme, it's all the same thing. But
so did they ever use? Obviously, they didn't use the term pyramid scheme. But was there ever any level of admission inferred or explicit where they said it's multi-level marketing?
Yeah, it's not multi-level marketing because MLMs are unethical. And Keith is ethical. Therefore, it is not an MLM. I know. It's so embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing. Yeah, listen, hindsight's always 20/20.
But there were people who were like doing Mary Kay or doing like other or even Amway, and they had to, if they were going to join NXIVM, they couldn't do those other things. They couldn't go past 2-stripe. Remember the stripes on the sash? 2-stripe coach if they were going to do that other thing. So this was like,
because that's dirty. That's multi-level marketing. We don't do that.
Yeah,
here.
we're clean.
That's right.
Yeah, that's created by Keith. Smartest, most ethical, noble man in the world. Celibate, renunciate monk.
Celibate, renunciate monk. Well, he wasn't bald, so he could have been a monk.
Yeah, that's true.
And they don't have monks don't have facial hair, right? They don't fuck with facial hair, do they? Yeah.
I don't know.
There was a monk in an airport next to me wearing like a $40,000 watch and Yeezy slides. When I was in Dallas, I was real confused by that.
Yeah. You're like,
I was like, hold on a minute.
Yeah. What's your vow here?
I don't know much here, but I know that something there. And he had like the new iPhone 17 Yeah,
Something's
I
not
don't know.
right.
I
I
didn't
mean-
put that tweet out at the time, but I was thinking it.
But this is related. Part of the whole thing, like in the heyday before shit went south, was that the Dalai Lama came and endorsed us, right?
Oh yeah. Now what? Hold on. I forgot about this. What the fuck?
So,
Is the Dalai Lama the one that was hanging out with like a 10-year-old boy though too?
you mean where he like put his tongue in his mouth? That thing?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you said anything about it, you were like you weren't like being sensitive to other people's culture or some bullshit. Yeah. And he was like, it was framed.
Sensitive to other people's culture.
Yeah. There's like, oh God, I'm going to butcher this. If you want to look it up, Joey, it's, I'm assigning Joey stuff to do. It was a thing that happened where it was some Tibetan phrase of like, I'm going to butcher it. Something about like your tongue. It's a phrase that translates to, I don't know. You got it?
You got it. Deep's on it.
Behavior.
Effectual behavior, you said?
Yeah, suck my tongue. Suck my tongue is the term in Tibet, which is a cultural thing, and he did it and it was caught on camera, but like it was the most egregious abuse of power by a spiritual leader because and then they're making it normal. Like it was just something we do in our culture. It doesn't fucking matter. You're getting a 10-year like a kid up here and doing this behavior with them is caught on camera. Anyway, it was a whole scandal. This came late. That was
later, but still. Interesting that he was coming to he came to America?
He came to America and he was going to do this endorsement, and then he heard about the
Forbes article?
I think, basically the rumors and the rumblings, and had seen some articles and decided it wasn't a good idea to endorse him. Then Keith and Nancy went on the Bronfman private jet and flew to Dharamsala and convinced the Dalai Lama, this isn't the vow. It's all taped.
Yeah.
And you can see Keith getting into rapport and doing this like
thinking man's kind of thing.
and like it's just this really terrible thing, and that he's being persecuted, and Dalai Lama knows what that's like, and like basically meets him at that level.
Turns it on him. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it's like if you want to see NLP in action, it's that scene, and he meets him, and Dalai Lama's like, oh, I get that, and he ends up coming. We also heard that there was a $1 million donation from the Bronfmans to the Dalai Lama, so it was kind of a paid endorsement. But all of these things were happening at the time, like in the heyday when things were good, and
yes,
I was recruiting and I started to make money, and I was acting and I was traveling, and the Dalai Lama's endorsing. And around this time we think that we're also curing Tourette's, right? Which you probably didn't see because that's season 2 of The Vow.
You thought you were curing Tourette's.
We thought we were curing Tourette's because somebody came in to NXIVM with full-blown Tourette's. And
I heard about this.
Yeah, and then was able to – he's here in New York. If you want to interview
I want to
Mark.
interview that girl from – what's that show? Bailey Unlimited or whatever on PLC.
She Tourette's?
Yeah, the girl. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You ever seen those videos?
I have, and I think there's some videos of Mark who had Tourette's, and he would sit in the front of NXIVM and be like, Nancy be training, and he'd be like, bitch. Yeah, seriously. No, you said it first.
There's one of the funniest videos ever is Andrew Cuomo trying to interview that girl, and she's like, I'm not trying to make fun of Tourette's, but like, she's giving like a normal answer, and she's like, Janie's a bitch or something like that, and Cuomo's just like sitting there like, you're so brave, and he's trying not to laugh, and it's like it's a human thing because like clearly she has something wrong with her. Like there's people who accuse that girl of like faking. She ain't faking.
No, it's a real thing.
Listen, if she's faking, Daniel Day-Lewis is the worst actor I've ever seen in my life. So like you on one hand you feel bad about it. Some of it can get a little bit funny though, not to be cruel. It just is. It's like you see people and you're like, oh my God. Like imagine going into like it's like when you go onto a plane and like someone yells things that are illegal. It's like the same kind of vibes, but it's funnier.
Oh yeah. No, and I wasn't around during those trainings, but like people talked about it for years afterwards. It was like the things that Mark said to Nancy that he got away with because he had Tourette's. And then so his Tourette's went away. And so they tried to duplicate what happened with him on other people. And they had a study, and there's actually a film about it. And it seemed to be working. And I'm not a expert. I can't really say what happened there, but I have my theories.
They're adding pseudoscience to the mix with things like that effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for Mark, he just was able to like do whatever he needed to do to calm his nervous system to not, he used to do this thing where he'd bite the air. Whatever he did, he was able to not do it. And so that was the proof, right? Like we've just cured Tourette's. So we have to, make a study.
Now we got to take a quick tangent on something you said, because it's a big part of the story. Because any organization like this, obviously there's sadistic things that Keith was trying to serve himself sexually and from a power dynamic and stuff. But of course, a part of that also is he's trying to make a lot of money and be rich and cloaking it in this like, oh, we're making everyone better. But to do that, you got to get money flown in there and you got to get connections. You got to take advantage of people, or you got to get people to believe or whatever. And so he did that obviously with all the people who joined, but he was also able to make a relationship with one of the richest families in America, the Bronfmans, who are of Seagram's fortune.
Yeah.
Didn't he make a relationship with like a bunch of them, and then one of the daughters like ended up being integral and heavily involved? What is the full story there?
So they were involved before I joined, so I don't know how they got in, but I think it's just like anyone else. Like I got in like a referral. I actually don't know how they got in, to be totally, I can't remember, but they came in at the same time. Sarah Bronfman and Claire Bronfman came in at the same time.
How do you convince a billionaire that they need
help?
Yeah.
I mean, I only have the stories because, again, they came before me, but I had heard like Claire was a professional show jumper, right? Like that's what she was like.
Equestrian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is me.
Oh, wait, like the toy horse thing?
No, like on a
on an actual
horse
Okay.
jumping over things. Like, and she was wanting to go to the Olympics, and she had horses and she had a horse farm, and I think she believed that he could help her. And I mean, that's what the story was. Anyone who like moved to Albany and like decided to devote their life to the mission was also offered help by Keith. Like I said, my friend and the actor, like we all had our hopes, and dreams dangled to us. And that was how people came up. Can I take a tangent on that story?
Please.
So my husband actually came in before me, and his ex-girlfriend was the one that brought him in. So his childhood sweetheart girlfriend brought him in, kind of dangling like maybe we're going to get back together. And that's how he came into NXIVM to like.
Oh, she was already in it.
She was already in, and he came in to like check it out and like be close to her. And her dad was like a brain surgeon from Yale, and like, he's like, well, this is legit, and checked it out to like also maybe whatever was going to happen there. So he did it with her. That ended up not happening, and he moved to LA to be an actor after taking some training. He had like taken the training, thought this is sort of like, it was helpful for him, put some tools in his life, and then it was like, but this isn't really going anywhere. The Forbes article came out and he's like, peace out, moved to LA. Then cut 2 years later, Mark Vicente gets involved. He's doing this film about global warming that Keith's helping him write. And Keith suggests my husband for one of the lead roles. So they fly out to LA, and they invite Nippy to come to Albany and be the lead role in this movie that's going to be made. He's been away from the organization for years, okay? And the reason this has an important point to what you just said. So as an actor, Joey, you'll appreciate this. He gets flown in. They pay for his move. They pay for him to relocate. They come to Albany. He gets flown in a private helicopter from Albany down the river to Bergdorf Goodman to get suited for costume fitting, to get suits made, because he's going to be an actor in this movie. And if you're an actor and you go to get a costume fitting in a private helicopter, it's on.
Right.
Right? Like, that's what I'm saying, the dangling of the dreams. That's how they got him back. This movie never was made, ever. Like, it never got past script rewrites. He waited in Albany for years. I mean, I'm glad he did, because we ended up getting together. But the point is that for Claire, whatever Keith dangled for her was enough for her to say, I'm going to give you, and you can look it up too, Joy.
Claire Bronfman,
millions of dollars. And he gambled. I don't want to say 58 million. That's the number that comes to my mind. I could be wrong about that, but millions of dollars.
He gouged her money and then gambled it away. Keith did.
Yeah, because he thought he had figured out the system and was like, but doing things on margin, or I don't even fucking know. How much money?
Yeah, Claire Bronfman
150
provided
million.
significant funding to NXIVM organization, eventually contributing about $150 million to the group and its leader, Keith Raniere. She served as the operations director and her father, Edgar Bronfman, to the group. But the relationship fractured when he learned a large, low-interest loan she made to Raniere and was informed the group was a cult. So he realized that
Yeah.
his daughter was being used to funnel money.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she and Sarah were, Sarah actually ran the New York City Center. Sarah was her sister.
Okay.
So Sarah also became a Green Sash and ran the New York City Center, which is actually right near where I'm staying with Sarma in the city, which is super trippy because we spend a lot of time there.
Yeah. Don't go walking on mushrooms near that.
Yeah, no, just stayed away from that area. So yeah, the Bronfman sisters were, I mean, almost every cult has an heiress. You know, I'm not sure if you've studied Osho, Bhagwan, Rajneesh.
A little, but can you provide some background for people who aren't familiar with that documentary?
Yeah, Wild Country. Bhagwan Osho was an Indian guru who was like, you know, the Keith Raniere of the 80s and had people move for miles around to join this community, which on the outside, just like NXIVM, looked great until it wasn't. But anyway, we interviewed a woman named Erin Robbins. She's the heir to the Baskin Robbins fortune. And she gave all her money to him.
You know, it is one of the things that makes it so believable. Mm-hmm. And I mean, not just believable. We know it happens. But the reason it makes a lot of sense that things like that would happen is because we're talking about the kids who are inheriting all this stuff through no fault of their own, but it's not money they earned, you know, it's a family fortune. They grow up in opulence. They struggle to have a purpose. They don't feel like they've earned any significance. So they view, I'm just looking at it the best I can here. I would imagine they view the money that that they inherit as a tool for them to buy that influence that they can then say they're doing something good with it. So they are perhaps, crazy as it sounds, maybe even more susceptible to organizations that either border on cults or like this are full-blown cults, because those are the prime type of parasitic endeavors that are going to look for a target like that to make them feel like they're important.
100%.
Because that's all they ever wanted.
Yeah. And Keith actually gave that to Claire. I think he made her the CFO or not CEO, but basically gave her a lot of power. And I think that's something that she really needed and enjoyed, because she was like kind of I don't know, she didn't have a lot of friends. You know, she was kind of a horse. She was like, her friends were horses. Yeah. You know, and I know. I feel really sad for her, and a lot of people in NXIVM didn't like her, and we didn't actually get along. But nobody signed up for this. Like she didn't sign up for that. I didn't Keith's the real bad guy here. She got roped in.
Yeah, I definitely have empathy for that, and she ended up going down too, because
she's actually fresh out.
Yeah, she did like 5 years or 6 years or something like that.
Yeah, she just got out of prison.
So.
And is still a believer, by the way, as far as I know.
She still believes in Keith.
Yeah. That's why she got such a high prison sentence, because she refused to renounce him.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the judge said that, like, you have not, like, Allison Mack was like, I made a mistake. I screwed us, by the way, for the audience, Smallville actress Allison Mack was one of the famous, or, famous-ish actresses that was sort of like one of the people that helped Keith with the building of the Harem later, and Doss, which we'll get to. But she was like, I made a mistake. This is the biggest mistake. I regret this. I believe something I shouldn't have. And Keith is a bad person. She refused to do that. And as far as I know, is still a believer. And
even after prison.
Yeah, even after prison.
I got to look at it more and see her individually, but it's wrong that she'd ever be a believer in that guy or in any of this. But there's a part of me that has empathy for the brainwashing. Yeah. Like clearly, if at this point that is the case and she still like kind of believes, she was successfully 1,000% brainwashed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, just like I said, everyone's dangling the thing.
Yes.
At first it was to get help with her show jumping, but then like you said, she wanted to make an impact. She wanted to use her money to do good in the world, and she really thought that this was the thing.
Yeah. Now, when you came in and you started doing, we were talking about you would go teach on the weekends down in Tacoma or Seattle or LA, wherever it might be, and then you'd go out to Vanguard week, like, you know, for 10 days in Albany, maybe go out there once or twice a year total. Over, like, I guess, when did you get in? 06, did you say?
But in 05.
05.
And I didn't become a proctor, which is the orange sash, which is the level that you can get paid for being like a facility. It's like basically when your career path starts.
Yes.
It took me 4 years to get there.
Okay, so let's go there.
Yeah.
Once you finally get to proctor, how did that conversation come up that you were going to do this? And when you agreed to do that, did you have to spend more time in Albany, and did you have to give up acting?
Pretty
for
much.
the most part?
Yeah, around that time is probably when I started to prioritize ESP or NXIVM for overacting. And that was something that happened slowly over time. They had you do like a values hierarchy. You know, what are the most important things to you? Which was actually really helpful for me. Oh, thanks. Was actually really helpful for me as somebody who has trouble making decisions and anxiety around that. If it was like, I'm going to do this movie or, you know, take this training, if acting, which is what started, was the highest value, then I would do that. But slowly over time, NXIVM and my personal growth became the highest value. So if it was going to a training to learn how to do XYZ technique, you know, becoming an EMP was one of the things I was trying to do, which is the exploration of meaning practitioner, all the acronyms, same as Scientology. I missed like 2 of my best friends' weddings for bullshit trainings. That's one of the biggest regrets of my whole time there is missing those, because it was like, well, you know, these are friends that aren't, you know, they don't share values with you. So why would you do that over your growth, you know? And so that's how those kind of decisions were made.
They pit you against your personal life.
Yeah.
And make them seem like, yeah. But you valued, I don't want to twist your words. I want to make sure I'm repeating what you said there. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You valued being told what to do if it made sense and actually meant progression for you.
I guess, yeah, my personal values hierarchy shifted over time. And that wasn't something I was super conscious of. I think subconsciously I realized that if I wanted to keep going, and I did, I was fully on board with the straight path and getting to the next level, that if I wanted to go to the next level, it had to be my highest priority. Yeah. The people who were like choosing, you know, their family, you know, their grandfather's birthday over V Week, you know, well, they weren't really committed. So I wanted to be committed. And this is where I think my desire to be special and my desire to be a part of things and belong and like get the gold stars of the ranking really motivated me and blinded me to what was actually important.
Yeah, you used the same phrase a little bit ago that you used when you were describing growing up and getting good grades. You're like, I wanted to be a good girl.
Good girl, yeah. Yeah, I was so right for the straight path and all the things that it was supposed to be. And, you know, the special thing is something that I think a lot of women struggle with, is that, you know, it's a part of that, like the love language thing as well. It's to feel acknowledged and affirmed. To feel, affirmed.
Would they tell you good job or you're doing great and make you feel?
Yeah.
Is that something your parents didn't do much growing up?
Ironically, if anything, I think my mother did a lot of that. Like I was very, like everything I did was great. You know what I mean? And she's very supportive, like unbelievably supportive.
Sense.
Yeah.
It can go either way. It has to be hard one way or the other. Either you're never told or you're told all the time, because then you crave it.
Yes.
In either direction.
Either direction. And no fault to her. Like my mom. I love her and she's always done the best that she could. But I think it was more just, I think it was also like the belonging piece, like being kind of being a theater nerd. I was also a late bloomer. So like I spent all of my high school until I was like 16 looking like I was 11, you know, and then all of a sudden like 12th grade, I was like, oh, there she is, you know? And so that was hard. And I never really fit in. I wasn't cool. I wasn't a cool kid. And so I think building the community that when I became proctor in 2009, I basically built a community. Like I had a center where I paid, you know, $6,000 a month rent and 5,000 square feet. And I had 3 training rooms. I did. Yeah, I did.
Keith didn't pay that.
No, I paid it.
It was your privilege to pay
It
it.
was my privilege. That was his bullshit business model. If somebody wanted to open a center, they had to, it was all, I mean, I was the only one, like Sarah Bronfman, Heiress. Emiliano Salinas is the son of the former president in Mexico. He opened a center there. So like everyone else came from money.
The president's son?
Yeah. He was a
Well,
green
it's better
sash.
in the cartels.
Yeah,
I'll
better
give
the
it that.
cartel. Yeah. No, he,
Low bar,
yeah.
but
So I was proud of myself. But that's part of the problem though, is I became more and more invested. So I was investing. There was a time where I was making really good money, but I was also like paying for so many things. Like I was paying for the rent. I was paying to like have admin. I was paying. By this point, I was going more like 3 or 4 times a year, and probably towards the end, it would be like almost every 6 weeks.
Right.
Like I was going a lot by the end.
Albany.
So to Albany for trainings and all sorts of different things.
when you started to make money, though, even though you're paying like the rent and the admin and stuff like that, like what are you clearing a month in 2009?
I don't know what I don't know
2010?
what I was clearing, but I remember I was getting like 20 grand checks.
Okay.
Yeah, so
All
I was.
right,
I was
and then you have expenses.
Yeah, I have
but
expenses. So I don't remember. I mean,
Probably clearing 10 grand,
maybe
something like that.
Yeah, 5 or
It's good
10.
money back then,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, way better than acting
Yeah.
too. That was the other thing. Like, you know, I can work and basically I was a producer. I was like before we even had the space, I would rent a hotel room. I would fly somebody in. I would organize the food and make it better than the breakfast that I had at my 5 days. I wanted it to be, a little sexier. Like I wanted to make it my way. And I think what was kind of great about the community is that like, because I wasn't knowing what was going on in Albany, I just pulled what was good from it and like did that.
Put on performance, too.
Yeah. Yes.
That makes sense.
They could have put on performance. And I was a green
Yeah.
sash and I was like the mother welcoming everybody.
Yeah, I
and-
don't say that as a negative.
Yeah, no,
either.
I know.
I understand.
Yeah. It actually really catered to my strengths.
Yes.
Because I eventually learned how to present the material. In the early days when I was doing an information night, I would bring Mark up because he was the director of What the Bleep, and I kind of piggybacked on that. Like everyone knew What the Bleep, and who am I? And he would do these information nights, and we kind of grew that way. And Mark and I became business partners, I forgot to mention. So he and I
That was acceptable within...
yeah, like we decided to open up Vancouver, LA together. So he was more doing LA.
Business partners within the organization.
Yeah, within the organization.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought
so
you meant outside.
no.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no, we were, because I couldn't open the center as a proctor alone. I had to have a green oversight. So I had to have a green sash oversight. And by then now Mark was the green sash. So he was sort of like overseeing me, but I was like on the ground. So it was together, it was our center, but like,
Right.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and I was listening to one of your other episodes, I forget which, about how the founder had to be on the wall. What episode was that?
The founder had to be on the wall?
Picture of the founder
Was
on
it a
the wall.
Scientology one?
Yeah, Scientology. Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard was on the wall.
Probably Jenna, maybe,
Yeah, probably
talking
Jenna.
about that?
And so we
Yeah.
had pictures of Nancy and Keith on the wall, these little frames. But most
Fucking
of the
Hitler and
I
Goebbels.
know. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And most people in Vancouver never met them unless they went to Vanguard Week or went to do level 2 training, which is all the higher level stuff. But most people just came and worked on their goals and it was like a gym membership for your growth.
Yeah, you know how there's the psychology in the power of like high-level business or politics where it's like, no, you come to me,
Yeah.
right? Where they're like, no, he's got to fly here. We're meeting
yeah.
here and
Oh, yeah.
doing that. They seem to have that with the added layer of also, by the way, if you come to us, we might not even come into the room.
Yeah.
We might not even
You
be
might not
there.
even
But
see
if
them.
we do, like, you were special that day.
Oh yeah.
We pick, there's an aura that they put around themselves, a deification,
Yeah.
if you will.
I remember one of the first times I was in Albany and we were supposed to have a meeting that Keith was, I don't remember what the project was, but I was pulled into some project and we were waiting to hear from Keith and it was like, we had to keep our phones on into the night. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. I'm turning my phone off. And they're like, Keith could call anytime. It could be 2 a.m. You need to be available. And I was like, that's not like, and I got in shit for that because I was more attached to my comfort than my,
That's a no-no.
That's a major no-no. Yeah. I mean, the people who are still involved and who believe that like Keith is good and I'm bad would say that I never like worked through my shit because of things like this.
Still involved? The
Yeah.
guy's sitting in a fucking
No.
maximum security prison for the rest of time.
FBI planted evidence, so it's not real.
So there's still
Oh, yeah.
like running an underground fucking rush of NXIVM?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no center here anymore, but there's people who are walking around who very much still believe in it and think that I'm a suppressive.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that is the case. I mean, at this point, like, you know.
And in Mexico, I believe in Monterey, they're fully still doing the curriculum. I don't think they call it NXIVM. I think that'd be really bad. But
yeah, that'd be bad for the brand.
Yeah.
Call it something else. Open it up as Enlightenment U or something like that. Enlightenmente U, if it's in fucking Mexico.
Yeah.
Wow. So you start making money. You're a proctor. What color sash is that again?
Orange.
Orange sash. All right. And now you're on the sash. Like
I'm
you're
really
okay
into
with it.
I'm really now the sash means everything to me.
It means everything.
Yeah,
to
the
you.
orange, like what I had to, the hoops I jumped through to get to orange sash made it mean so much to me. So in my 5-day when people were like, oh, this is weird, like I know how you feel.
Right.
I felt the same way. But what I found was
Now I have a sash.
yeah.
Now when did you meet Nippy, your husband?
I met him, I think in 2006. So
Did you meet him at V-Week?
I met him in the center in Albany. Yeah, and then we went up to V-Week together.
What drew you to him?
A lot of things. I'm laughing because when I first met him, he was kind of goofy. He's kind of like he's super smart, but he's also the class clown. Like he's the one who's always making people laugh. And when I met him, he like had his pants pulled up really high and he was like doing some impression of somebody. And I just was like, who's this hot guy who's like also really goofy? Like he just really made me laugh. And he's still makes me laugh. Very funny, very smart. He's a history major. And he was, doing the work. You don't see a lot of like alpha males who are doing internal work on themselves to be better. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, he was really taking the curriculum seriously.
Yeah, he was doing the curriculum. But he was also like, I don't know. There was just something. Keep in mind when I met him, I was still with my ex and he was with somebody. So when I met him, I thought he was hot and like funny and all that stuff. But I wasn't like, we didn't date for a while after that because we were both with people. And then there came a time when we were both single and we were like.
Oh, so you were both with people when you met, but you were hanging out because you're in the organization.
Yeah.
And wait, I'm sorry. Were you with someone who was in there?
Yes.
You? Okay. And was he with someone who was in there with him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the guy the filmmaker that I told you about that we started with, and we met Mark Vicente.
Yeah.
We were together for 3 years, and then we were together for 3 years in NXIVM together. The guy that I started it with. And then I was going up the straight path, and he was not, and that became a problem.
Ooh, power dynamic.
Yeah. And, my coach would say things like, well, if he's not growing or taking it seriously, like maybe you should consider it. Like, do you really have a match of values? And we grew apart.
They start breaking you up.
Yeah. And truthfully, we were not a good fit. And
but still, there's something.
No, it's gross. And we laugh. Yeah. We're both fully aware. And I do believe that Keith was like instructing my coach to, separate us.
Did you, I'm going to come back to Nippy in a second, but you had said earlier, like, you never really liked Keith that much in particularly, but he was this thing. He put together a good program. So
I respected him.
You respected him.
I respected him. I had him. I had his mind. If his mind really did create what I had gotten so much value out of, I respected that.
And so you didn't have any level of attraction to him or anything, like never thought of it that way.
No,
right.
Definitely not at the beginning. There were times towards the end when he had been cleaned up that I saw him differently, and
you felt under a spell almost.
A little bit, yeah. There were times when like he would pay attention, or like he would take my hand. He did this with everybody. He would like take your hands and really look at you and like be with you. And I remember being like, oh, I'm getting over my issue. I'm getting closer. Like I wanted to be closer to him because I thought he was so smart and I really looked up to him. But I always felt that distance, and I noticed that other people were closer with him. I just thought that, again, like, was my limitation. So by the end, I feel like he got in there more with me, but still not fully, as we know. You know what I mean?
He would also, I just remembered this. I want to bring this up because it's, what
the kissing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would kiss everyone on the lips, including
big red flag,
including the dudes.
Yeah.
They don't even
Nippy
do that.
never did that. Nippy never did that.
Nippy never kissed him on the lips.
No. Mm-mm.
Did that hurt him in the organization?
Nippy didn't do a lot of Nippy, like, they would have said that he had defiance issues. Get
over here and suck my tongue.
Yeah.
Or you're gay.
Yeah. No, he would be like, just as like one of my first memories of him before we were even dating, like as coaches, you had to like clean up after a training, and I was like, vacuuming and cleaning the toilets and like, I'm so good, right? And he like took a bag of garbage and left. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you stick around and like, but he's like, I'm not gonna, like he had way better boundaries.
Classic toxic male.
Yeah.
Love that.
He still takes out the garbage. Yeah. But like he had better boundaries than most people, and he was targeted in a different way. And, it affected him in that he didn't get promoted in the same way, but he was like, who cares? His joke was cut my pay because he wasn't making any money. So he was like, who cares?
And was he still holding on to the whole like aspiring actor thing like through this because they had promised him this role that at some point it's going to come, the script's going to get rewritten and I'm going to do it. So he's like, it's like the carrot on the stick for him. Yeah.
And at a certain point, he kind of realized that it might not happen, and he started like personal training and doing like odd jobs around Albany. But like a lot of us like that were coaches could take training, and like the trainings were expensive. Like level 2 trainings were like $6,000 to $8,000, and for people like us, they needed to run the training. And so they would get somebody like Nippy to like staff the training. So he was just going into training, but not paying for it, but helping to run it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he had stuff to do and sort of waiting for the film, and they'd like have, do a script read, and then like, but meanwhile I'm out in Vancouver and I'm like flying him out because I'm staffing. So I'm like, oh, come to Vancouver and come to LA. So when we started dating, it was like, we would see each other quite often. Because
how did you guys start dating? Like, cause obviously the two of you get out of your relationships, but like what led to that?
He just put it out there one day. He's like, I think we should hook up, especially what it was. He was really no game. It was just like, let's, we'd been flirting for years, and it was like, what's this about? And I was like, well, sure, let's check it out. And that was that. But it was started out very light because he was in New York and I was in Vancouver, and it was kind of fun, and I got to see him during a training, and but I really appreciated having somebody like him who, again, like a real guy's guy who was also willing to like be vulnerable and talk about his emotions and, stuff like that. So it escalated pretty quickly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So he's a fascinating guy in the sense that he's in this thing. He's in it because of the carrot on the stick of like being an actor. That makes all the sense in the world. But you have like a brilliant Ivy League quarterback, in shape, like kind of I'm going to do it my way, not give a fuck kind of dude. But then he's also like emotionally in touch. And at the same time, like he's cool with the power, at least for what he's trying to do, he's cool with the power dynamics in an organization like this. So when you guys start dating, like obviously you're having success. That's not a problem for him. He's cool.
No, he's happy with that.
But like, how would you guys talk about the organization? Did you guys, I'm talking even before you're married. You got married in 2010?
Yeah, good. No, we started dating. We got married in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So before you get married, when you're dating, in your conversations about NXIVM, did you guys ever like broach the topic of like, hey, some of this is weird, or even say things like, are we in a cult?
We never said are we in a cult, but definitely if there's anyone that I could talk to about things I had problems with is with Nippy and Mark Vicente, actually, to a degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
For Nippy though, let's because that he becomes your husband. What kinds of conversations would you guys have?
Like Claire. I was a higher rank than her, but Claire Bronfman.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But she was sort of in charge of me in terms of like, we'd have these meetings that she would run, and I just found her like unbearable. And she just was like, there were certain things that would be like she would raise the rate on Ethos, which is the ongoing gym membership version of NXIVM. Like
gym membership.
Yeah.
Version.
So we had like the 5-day training, and then we had Ethos, which is like $300 a month. People would come and they take classes, like a gym membership.
Yeah, they get the steam room too.
I wish we had a steam room. I wanted to have a sauna put in, but
yeah, that's nice.
Goals.
Yeah.
But it was like $182 a month, and then she raised it to $300 a month, and it was a big jump. And I have like all these, struggling actors in Vancouver, and this is actually in the book. She was like, you need to find. She had a British accent, like a pseudo British accent, because she was raised part time in Britain. She's like, your clientele. Oh, I'm gonna do a terrible accent. Forget it. I'm not gonna do it. But she basically said to me that I need to basically recruit richer people, is what I needed to do.
You're recruiting
Yeah.
the peasants.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. That's a very good
Oh
accent. Mine
my
was terrible.
God.
Yeah.
My British accent's not.
I can do a good
That's the
British
one I'm
accent,
not
but I
good
can't
at.
do her British accent because it was like the subtle one that it was, I can do a proper one. But anyway.
She wasn't speaking like the kings.
No.
Right. Yeah.
No. So I remember being like, what the fuck? You've never, like, the reason she was lower rank is she couldn't recruit. She was terrible at recruiting because she didn't have any friends. And so I'm recruiting, but she's like giving me advice on how I should do it. And I'm like, I'm bringing in more money into the company than anybody. Like, why are you handcuffing me? I always just felt like there were so many problems, especially in the last quarter. I look at my time in NXIVM in quarters. I was like struggling to get to Proctor, and then like the golden years, and then the demise,
Right.
kind of thing. And in that last section, there were so many problems. She stopped paying us. I was called a field trainer, and so because I opened up an area, and I was in charge of all the salespeople, and I was filling the trainings, and just like changed the commission structure. So we stopped making money. We stopped anytime I had a problem, like, hey, can we get paid for the work that we did so we can pay for all the things? Like I'm paying for things out of pocket,
Right?
And you get reimbursed. Well, that's me being entitled, which is a NXIVM term for like I'm not being grateful and I'm not paying tribute, and like it's just constant gaslighting.
Cough it up, Seagrams.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on.
Oh, and she was notorious for like paying people or not paying people at all. Like her concept of money was so. It's funny. I'm even scared to talk because she's out of jail now. Can we take a bathroom break?
Yes,
Okay,
we'll be right
thank
back. All right, we're back. So, did you ever, as you were rising up and bringing people into the organization, basically as a recruiter, first of all, did you feel yourself like improving as they had told you were going to? Did you feel like you were actually getting the benefits of the program, or do you feel like you making money and recruiting people into it was like a fake fill-in for you actually making yourself feel like you were improving?
I think it's probably both. I think that I was actually like the true part of the Stripe path in terms of evolving your issues so that you could like raise your self-esteem and go to the next level. Remember I talked about options?
Uh-huh.
I think there's some truth in that like if you feel resourceless in a situation, you feel kind of stuck and you get depressed. And
Yes.
I felt like, and I think I also had a little bit of this before naturally, and NXIVM kind of expanded on it. Like I'm the kind of person who it's like, if I can't get into a restaurant, like I'm going to get into the restaurant. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to take no for an answer, right? I'm going to call and do my thing, which, Nippy loves when it's to his benefit.
I could totally
right?
see that, by
like,
the way.
yeah, he's like, go to the front and get our upgrade, right?
That's right.
It doesn't like it when it's him, right? When I'm like, but you said, you said you were gonna like, can you, So I have a tendency to nag. I'm working on that because I don't take no for an answer. So that's what made me such a good, why are you laughing?
I didn't say anything.
Okay. So why were we talking about this?
We were talking about this for whether or not you felt like you had actually been improving.
Yeah, no,
or
I think
it was like kind of hidden by the
I think there's a lot of
success.
things and we'll never know because I was at the stage in my life where, I had friends who were around me say like, you were always going to be successful at whatever you did. So like maybe that's true. I don't know. But I was using these tools and now I was saying I was successful because of the tools. So that's one of the things that a lot of cults do is they take full responsibility for any success you have. Any failures you have, that's on you. Right? So I was like, I'm so successful. I'm doing so great. And it's because of this program. And that's kind of how I tended to recruit. I just lived my life. I mean, I did reach out and like, call people and things like that, but I wasn't a major hard sell person. I was like, this is what I'm doing. And if you want a piece of it, like come check out the next information night. I wasn't like cold calling people,
How many people were in NXIVM by like
Total?
2010? Yeah.
By 2010, I don't know. But by the time I left in 2017, there's two numbers and we don't know for sure, but it's between 17,000 and 20,000.
Whoa, I didn't realize it got that big.
I mean, think about 20 years. It's 1,000 people a year internationally is actually pretty small in terms of like Scientology or any of these other groups.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, but they've been around a lot longer.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
true.
full-blown religion. There's a lot more people involved. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, very huge air quotes
But
right
I would say that any V week would be where any of the most dedicated, anyone who's currently active in the organization would be at V week, and it was never more than 400 people. So I'd say at any given time, there was no more than 400 to 1,000 people who were currently active.
Active with it.
Yeah, because many people came through and took a 5-day and then pieced out. But of those 17 to 20,000 people, it could have been someone who just did that and then they were gone. And those people are like, for the most part, pretty unscathed. And many of those people are really happy with what they did because they didn't,
Right.
immerse themselves and do what I did.
What made you an effective recruiter, you think?
From what I've been told from people who knew me before, during, and after, or like, this is something that I've talked about with people on our podcast who like ex-members, is that I was walking the walk, and I didn't pressure people to do it. Like a lot of people were trained to kind of do the thing that was done to me. Like, well, remember what I said with my field trainer who was like, you want to be the master of your own ship. I would sort of meet with people if they wanted to learn more, and I'd be like, what are your goals? Like, what are you working on? And people would tell me, and I'd say like, you're here in your life and you're trying to get here. What's stopping you? And they'd tell me, I procrastinate or I'm afraid to take the next steps or whatever. And I'm like, well, we have a curriculum that's going to help you do that. This is how much it costs. And I would just walk them through the process, and sometimes people would be into it, sometimes they wouldn't. And I'd be like, yeah, if it's not for you, like, you've got my number. And I think the soft approach for most people is what worked. And I really believed in it. Yeah. And I'd had such a good experience. And to answer your earlier question, like, yes, I was using the tools and I was happier, but also I was making money, and I had physical proof of like, I had a Honda Civic and now I have a Mini Cooper.
Right.
Like
moving up in the world.
Moving up. I have a nice car. I've got a nice apartment. I'm traveling a lot, and my life looked pretty exciting because it was. I did fly on the Bronfman jet once. That was cool.
Bronfman jet.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was amazing. I mean, have you ever been on a private jet?
No, after the whole Epstein thing, I'm not into it.
Yeah, there's an island.
I don't know what's going on the I'll fly commercial. I have no problem with it.
I agree with you. It did spoil me for life after you've been on we flew to Alaska to do a Jeunesse training. Jeunesse was the women's program that came later. Yeah, Jeunesse. So Nancy.
See if you hit that up.
A mutual friend of ours' family did.
What?
Oh.
Wait, you know someone who did Jeunesse?
Wait, hold on. Turn your mic on there, buddy. Ours off. Yeah. Turn yours on. Yours is off.
You want to turn mine on?
Yeah, there you go. Now we can.
Who did you know that did Jeunesse?
Well, I won't name them because we are on a public forum.
Yeah.
But a mutual friend of ours, his whole family did.
What?
Yeah.
But not NXIVM?
Not NXIVM, but
They just did Jeunesse?
his whole family did Jeunesse, yeah, and then got one of my buddies involved too. It was
here in New York?
Time. Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to tell me off camera because I pretty much know everybody that did it.
Oh yeah, we could definitely talk off camera then.
Dying to know.
Yeah, I'm dying to say it on air. Honestly, folks, I'm dying.
We'll protect identities there, but nonetheless.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Small world.
Listen, it touches everybody, apparently.
Yeah.
But so I wasn't.
Nobody's asked me that, by the way.
Trying to do that. Don't laugh.
Nobody's asked me that. What made me a good recruiter?
I mean, but that was your life, though. You know what I mean? Like, you had a job day to day, and you were obviously successful at it. And it sounds like, you were saying Nippy didn't hold that against you at all. Like he was happy to see you successful with that. He was still trying to do whatever he was doing, but you're rising up to this thing, and you're bringing all these people in, and you had said earlier it was situational vulnerability for a lot of people. That's where they would get them, which makes all the sense in the world. But if we're really honing in on those 400 people that would go to V Week, right? So the people who are really committed and really in. Were there any common threads besides that in those people?
The people who are really committed?
Yeah. Like that would make them vulnerable to doing that, minus the situational vulnerability?
Honestly, it's so case by case, I would say. Like, even for somebody, I don't know. I'm just trying to take a step back there for a second. Minus the situational vulnerability, I think the main through line for people to go to something like V Week is people who really also loved community. There was a real raw kind of camaraderie summer camp vibe. like Burning Man, but there's no costumes and no sand. There was a real excitement about like the idea was, and it's so cringy now, but like spending 10 days, what could humanity be like? This is what Keith wanted for his birthday, by the way. He didn't want any things because he's a renunciate, right? He wanted 10 days where people came together, kind to each other, living their most joyful lives. So we'd do yoga and we were doing, having dance parties, and Keith would do forums and Nancy would teach class, and we'd swim down by the lake. I loved to take off and just go like sunbathe by the lake because I didn't know this at the time, but I actually really didn't enjoy the curriculum, especially at V Week. It was so beautiful out. I wanted to like, just be by the water.
Yeah.
My own little private rebellions that I wasn't aware of that I was doing.
Suppressive.
Yeah, it was suppressive.
Very suppressive.
What I realized is that I was really good at the good girl mask, but actually I had a lot of internal, like I was breaking the rules, but like I'd be like, yeah, I entered my data, but like I didn't, because they didn't check. It's not like Scientology where they're really, really rigid about measuring everything. It was like you just
selfish.
Yeah. And I would be like, yeah, I did that, and then I just sort of do my own thing. So I was like an external good girl. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
And I started to break the rules more and more, especially towards the end, because I was like, parts of me were like, well, that's bullshit. Like it just got worse. There were so many, and to answer your other question about like being able to confide and nippy about it, we would complain to each other. I couldn't complain up rank because I would be gaslit, and I couldn't complain down because that would be bad leadership. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I had to do have you heard the term toxic positivity?
Maybe.
It's like huge in a lot of things like the Mormon church and MLMs, like, boss babe, like everything's great, and like living my best life. And like I had to kind of toe that line, and I didn't really realize how unhappy I was towards the end. And I could confine a nippy in that.
Were you married before Nippy too?
No.
You weren't?
No.
You were just in a relationship?
I was in a relationship.
Okay.
I thought we were going to get married.
Right. That was the one you moved in with, and you're like, we're not doing this.
He was the guy that I started NXIVM with. So I did 3. Yeah.
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 Okay. Now, so you guys eventually get married. Did you have a wedding like with all the cult members?
Yes. Yes.
Was anyone beside? I mean, your
Nancy
mom was
was
technically in it, but was anyone not from the cult, like from your life?
Oh
there?
yeah, my family was in it. In fact, there's a picture in here. My mom was there. My
childhood friends, stuff like that.
Yep, and they thought it was very weird. They told me
bet.
later. I thought it was a great wedding at the time, but everybody who wasn't in NXIVM was like, "This is very strange."
Yeah.
This is a picture of my wedding. There's Lauren, so Nancy's daughter.
Nancy's daughter was the officiant.
Yeah, marrying Nippy and I, and she did the vows that were written by Keith.
Oh, he wrote the. Have you redone the
Oh,
wedding
yeah.
since? Okay.
Yeah, we did. We renewed our vows.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. You deserve a do-over.
Thank you.
on
I
that.
did a do-over in the place that I wanted to get married, which I couldn't have because it conflicted with V Week. Like I wanted to get married on Hornby Island.
Oh, you got married during V Week V Week?
No. We got married. Our big party that I just showed you a picture from was September 28th, and we chose that date because it was the only weekend that was free in the NXIVM calendar because we wanted Nancy to come and Lauren to come, so we had to make sure they were free. Where I really wanted to get married was on Hornby Island, which is like where I spent my summers, and it's this magical hippie island. Anyway, I renewed my vows there and rewrote new ones.
Good.
Fuck you, Vanguard.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't call him Vanguard. Don't give him.
No, it's because we used to say thank you, Vanguard. So now I say fuck you, Vanguard.
Did you have to say that in your vows? Like, did he write that in?
No,
like,
he didn't say that in our vows.
It didn't say Vanguard in the vows.
No.
Okay. What were the vows like? Like, I pledge to chain my loyalty to you and NXIVM, which is the code of humanity. Like
they were kind of word salad-y bullshit, but they were actually. I'm almost positive he didn't write them because they were pretty. I mean, I remember liking them at the time. They were about true love and upholding each other and blah blah blah. Do you want to pull them up? They're probably out there. I don't know.
They're out there.
Maybe.
All right, let's try this. Sarah Edmondson vows from wedding. It's probably gonna pull up the vow.
Oh yeah,
the show was called
yes,
The Vow.
Ironically, I don't know if it's out there. I could get them. I bet Mark Vicente could send them to us because Mark Vicente and Bonnie, his wife, used them first. He wrote them for them.
And then you guys got the plagiarized version.
Yeah, we got to use them again. We had to ask permission. I know,
of Keith or
Keith and Mark. I asked Mark too if he would mind. No, it's not coming up.
Not out there.
I will. I'll find them and I'll email them to you.
Yeah, that's
Just if you're curious. But
I am curious.
They were nice. I mean, I remember thinking, but like now I'm sure he like, this is before ChatGPT, but I'm sure he like found them and plagiarized them.
Yeah, I'll bet he did.
He didn't do anything original.
Yeah. Would you describe yourself after you got married as like, did you feel happy in life?
Yeah.
At the time?
Yeah.
Everything seemed normal to you. You're successful. You're marrying the man you love.
Yeah, that part was great. But this is around the time when things were becoming strained in the organization. We called it an organization. We didn't call it a cult. We called it an organization.
Yeah, of course.
It was It was Nippy would say the morale was low.
And this is 2013?
I would say 2014 is probably around the time that things started to go down. This is also like people were getting sick. Like I showed you that picture. Yeah. That was 2014. That was the first funeral.
You had never been to a funeral of a cult member? Yeah.
A lot of people. There was like 8 people at a time that had cancer. I think so. The 2 people that died, I believe it was poisoning. Nancy had cancer. Karen had all these women around him.
Nancy Salzman?
Yeah, she had cancer too, but she beat it. So I think that he was trying to poison a lot of people. At the time, I thought there was something in the water, but now I think it was something more nefarious.
Yeah, something else is going on there.
Yeah, but no, things were. There was just like it's the most painful part of the book actually because it's so like it's a slog. It went from being like really joyful and fun and exciting and kind of glamorous to like Keith started a new program called Ultima where there was a acting program, there was a media program, there was there was all these different classes he started. And he wanted all the coaches to come and learn this training, but he basically like pulled my entire staff from Vancouver. And I was like, what are you doing? Like this is, and so the things like that, but you couldn't say that because when you'd be like suppressive and anti-tribute and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he said, as we outlined earlier, he would set these traps ahead of time to get out in front of things so that you were gaslit into not being able to take action.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The toxic positivity mixed with the changing of the formats so that you couldn't we couldn't thrive, you know? And this was supposed to be, we were going to change the world, but we felt like we were hogtied at every level.
Right.
Little tangent. I'm sure you're aware of Lululemon.
Love me some Lululemon. They made the world a better place.
I'm sure you do. Yeah. Yeah. Joey as well. Yeah. And me too.
Hey, great company.
Great company. So that started in Vancouver. And the owner, Chip Wilson.
Who we might have on this podcast, but please
really?
Continue. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you could ask him. He brought Landmark, which was another personal development program, to the training of Lululemon because he had taken that curriculum. Okay.
Is that like some NXIVM shit?
Landmark?
Yeah.
Landmark is like NXIVM Light. Yeah. There's no branding and what?
Diet NXIVM.
Yeah. There's no branding and there's no, as far as we know, like Harem, but Werner Erhard, the guy who started it, not Chip, Werner Erhard is like fully abusive, allegedly, in my opinion. And you can cut this if you want, but there's like, no, like we've talked to whistleblowers. We've talked to the Nancy Salzman of Landmark, and she's like, it's a cult.
Is Chip cool?
Chip's cool, yeah. I mean, I don't know him super well, but I mean, I'm sure.
I might get you in here when he's in here. Stare him down, get a good read.
Sure, but
she's like, yeah,
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I mean, like, listen, he started an empire. Like, he's a very successful business person, right?
Yeah.
I got a question that I'm curious about because I noticed you said that with his next program, like there was an acting program, there was a media program, and I'm kind of noticing that pattern too. Do you think there was a reason why he always seemed to be going after actors, people in media, filmmakers, or was that just kind of a coincidence? Like were a lot of other people in NXIVM actors? Or was it across the board?
I mean, it kind of depended. Like the center in Mexico had more of a like the who's who of politics, just because of who brought in who and who was friends with who. Because it was all word of mouth. We didn't advertise. So when Mark and I got involved, Mark is from Hollywood, and I have connections through the film industry. Like it's just sort of how it grew. But I think that Keith really enjoyed that. Like when Nippy left and came back, he was like, "Oh, when I came back, it was exploded with a bunch of young people and like, you know, we're actually doing things in the world, you know," and it looked a little bit more, I think Keith wanted that front facing like,
Yeah.
you know, attractive women and men on the outside who were, you know, doing legitimate things.
And good cover.
Yeah, it's good
100%.
cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right.
cults have to have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Cover's important.
Yes.
Get
You
out
can't
in
just
front of
say, I am going to have a harem.
That's
No.
right. Okay, we'll bookmark the chip thing and
Oh, wait,
come
but
back to that.
I have to finish that story. I'll be super quick.
Yeah, finish it.
The
please.
long and short of it is that so this is 11 years ago, I'd just given birth to my son. Nancy Salzman was coming out to Vancouver to do a training because I'd also set up a meeting with Lululemon because I'd heard, I didn't know that Landmark was bad at this point. I thought they were subpar version of what we did.
Uh-huh.
So it was just like Lululemon was going to not do Landmark anymore and they were looking for something else. And so I had arranged a meeting with the head of Lululemon, like human development or whatever, to meet with Nancy, and they'd
Human
agree.
development.
Yeah, to have a meeting, and they had a meeting, and they totally hit it off. It was great, and the next step for this person was to fly to Albany and do a 16-day training with Keith.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so basically Keith kiboshed it. Like they were like, great, can you come and do a 5 days? Like, no, you have to bring your whole team to Albany and do a 16-day training. It never happened. So I was like, are you
that's for
fucking
the
kidding
best.
me? So that kind of thing. Like, do you see how frustrated I would be?
Yes.
Right? Like, you want to grow, you want
You
to.
brought something to the table.
Yeah.
It was there to hit it right off the softball.
Yeah. And they didn't do it. And there's so many stories like that with a lot of people. A lot of people in New York were Ivy League grads from different schools, and they would bring it back to their school, and like there would be an opportunity, and Keith would be like, "No, they're not ethical. We can't do it," or some bullshit. So there's a lot of shit like that happening.
A lot on the bone here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where you want to go from here, Julian? There's a lot to cover.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.